should be live now. Oh, yeah.
I am your second host, ItsSneakyAdolf.
Well,
And I'm the third one.
all right. Wow. Immediate, huh? Very good.
You said we were live.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Just,
And to think the one who actually records and uploads this podcast hasn't even introduced himself.
Jesus Christ.
Shameful, really. How else are we supposed to spread the TableTalk discussion and discourse brand?
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh God, if you want to talk
right.
about brand, just bring Brogan in here.
All right.
We could. Our friend Brogan / known at ones is a friend of the TableTalk podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. Hey everyone, welcome back to TableTalk discussion and discourse. I, as always, am your host Alejo, aka Right on 95.
I, as usually, am your second host. ItsSneakyAdolf, aka
We already did this.
Aiden. Yeah,
I
we
already
did.
introduced myself. You only get one.
You know what? Fair.
You actually didn't introduce yourself. You just said I'm the third one.
It's true, and that's all they need to know.
True. Well.
But you can donate and find out his real name.
Ooh.
Oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate we're starting early, huh? We're starting real early, huh? Yikes. Okay. Well, it's a good thing no one's here yet.
Oh God, I didn't know they had that. You know the fucking Aiden. You know the here. Look in the memes. You'll know what I mean.
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's the Squidward version.
Oh, the Squid. Yeah, the thing that Pizza Funk just posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a Squidward version of that.
It's pretty good.
Memes.
Okay.
No, not important things. There we go. It's loading.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, fair.
Oliveless virgin.
There was that. That's true.
Except casuals, therefore is casual. I love the fact that therefore is misspelt.
Yeah,
like it adds to the meme.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Therefore can't read. Low probability to have olives.
Man, he's catching up. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't check the memes here very often.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's true. I don't.
But anyway, so before we get into the main meat of the episode, the looking into Warhammer RPG and Age of Sigmar RPG, because there are two. Didn't know there was a different one.
I adore Unit Rico's chopping off hands meme.
Yes. Yeah. Also good. Yep. That's
Because
true.
in the back of my mind, I've been like, through jihad. Like the whole time.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, so we'll be getting to those, but of course, we have a comment from Lux. As is tradition at this point. So we'll get to that first. So, interesting Warhammer tonight. Yes, Slay. Yes. Hopefully it is. But so Lux says, and this was on last episode. That was fun. I'll have to write another episode for you again sometime. So responses. Yeah, we took like an hour and a half. It was
Yes.
it was a long time. Okay.
Wouldn't it be something to just read his comment and then just be like, okay, now on to the point, you know?
Right, yeah.
And just not say anything.
Never say
about it.
anything to the comment itself. Anyway, so actually, I meant that even in 3.5, people tend to ignore the character wealth by level table. That's fair enough, yeah. Or more likely, I suppose, fail to remember that it was even there. That's probably, yeah. People either didn't read it or they just don't remember it, and you're absolutely probably right. In some cases, they might have thought they had better ideas about how much treasure was reasonable to give out, and generally ended up distributing much less than what was recommended. And the problem is, this can honestly contribute to the balancing issues between spellcasters and martial classes. If you only look at class abilities, wizards do pull pretty far ahead of fighters at high levels, but fighters are supposed to get powerful magic items and armor on par with high-level wizard spells. If the value of treasure you give them lags far below the recommended amount, then of course they'll fall behind. Excuse me. Spellcasters get most of their power from class abilities by design. But the advantage martial classes are supposed to have is the ability to use weapons and armor to the greatest effect. I understand the instinct of not wanting to hand out too much treasure, because then the party can get massively overpowered and nothing can challenge them, but not giving enough also creates problems which, unfortunately, I've seen people then turn around and blame the system for. And that's, yeah. I mean, if the system has items in design, then you probably need to give them some items.
Yeah.
Just like 3.5 does.
So this is why I'm a fan of what Pathfinder does, and that if you look at the fighter and the champion and like the higher level feats that they have, that's stuff like you can hit two things with your sword. You can swing your sword around in a circle. Right. You can miss someone and have it not count on your multi-hit penalty.
Right.
Damn.
And the gear and weapons that you have on you should almost be similar to how a mage selects their spells. You select your weapons for what you may need through the day. There are definitely issues with giving out no magic items.
I was gonna say, it has that in mind. Like, it is part of the core design of Pathfinder 2e where you need to give magic items.
Yeah. Because, yeah, you're gonna have, like, your wizard fireballing things at, like, 8th level. And your fighter's like, I hit thing with a copper sword.
Yeah.
I do damage sometime. You don't want to have your wizard live out a power fantasy. You should be making all things level up be reasonably well together.
But you shouldn't make your wizard be having a power fantasy. You mean only your wizard?
Yeah. Have only your wizard fantasize about having a power fantasy, not actually living it out. Keep it in the realm of imagination for them.
So, sorry. So,
I'm saying don't level up your wizard to be supremely powerful,
right?
Like a god at level 7,
right? And but that's my thing is they could feel like that at level 7 anyway. But the fighter should also feel like that. Like, that's my point.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I'm saying is, by the term quote power fantasy, I don't mean as in they feel powerful and they can do cool things, because that to me should be a given. By power fantasy, I mean they are ridiculously, like, by leaps and bounds more powerful than the rest of the party.
Okay. Because I wouldn't use power fantasy that way. That's the only reason why I have contention.
Yeah, no, I realized fairly quickly that it was just because I had said that word.
Yep. Just wanted you to define your term, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
No, just don't over level them, because you will have the issues that spellcasters evolve logarithmically, whereas sword fighters are linearly.
Yes, true.
I do believe the base system thus far in 5e was kind of underwhelming. Just, I didn't like the way they're like, oh, roll on this table for loot and stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah, they're it's fucking awful for magic items, loot, and all that shit. Yeah, it's awful.
Shit. They definitely did not do the proper job there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also kind of hard to boil down every campaign that will ever exist into one table that fits well.
Sure.
But yeah.
Another point, I would argue that I would usually choose a role-playing system based on the parts of it that I'm interested in using, not the parts I expect not to use. And D&D still has a pretty good set of rules for non-combat situations. Highly comprehensive, in fact, so that makes it competitive with any other system out there. That's true. Also, just because players are going to want to avoid a certain aspect of the game doesn't mean that that part of the game isn't affecting them. If players design their characters in a way that would make it difficult for them to survive in combat, then the combat rules become their motive for avoiding combat. Yep. You don't try to stay out of combat in Call of Cthulhu because there aren't rules for combat. You try to stay out of combat because there are rules for combat, and those rules ensure that you would get fucked up in combat if you didn't try to avoid it. And that you're also likely to get fucked up just by the brushes with combat that you fail to avoid.
Yes.
Similarly, just because players probably won't be making any fighters in that campaign doesn't mean the fighter class no longer has any place in the game. There are NPCs, and some of them can be fighters. If the party of non-combatant diplomats should encounter a group of fighters, they'd be well advised not to fuck around with those fighters. Should the players ever decide to stop using their words and start swinging their swords around, the fighter NPCs will provide an undesirable consequence for that decision. Yes, that's true. I think our point was, if you're doing purely non-combative stuff, then if you roll up a fighter for your non-combative thing, it's a little weird, right? Because it's like that class is literally made for fight. So it's a little strange to do so.
What would imply to you that a fighter can only be used for fighting?
So obviously you could play it like yes, no, you just use your skills and shit. But yes, I understand.
Why do you think a fighter only does fighting?
Right, exactly. So anyway, I would also add that in 3.5 I could definitely make a diplomatic character with the fighter class. I might even try to find an attractive option. I would probably multi-class with either a level of rogue or aristocrat. See, you're already going away from fighter. To take all those social skills as class skills, make charisma their highest ability score, and make sure their intelligence is high enough to pay for all the skills I'll want them to have. With that build, they'll be just as good as anyone at rolling social skill checks, and they'll have the advantage of being a little bit tougher as a fighter in case they ever need to duel someone, or if the group should happen to find itself in a bit of a scrape, despite their efforts to avoid that outcome. And if the party ever needs to intimidate someone, this is the character to do it.
Is aristocrat some homebrew UA bullshit?
No. This was in 3.5. 3.5 had a lot of other stuff.
Oh, okay. In 3.5. Okay.
Yeah. Though
I thought they meant in 5e.
No. Though aristocrat, I think correct me if I'm wrong in the future. But I believe aristocrat was one of those NPC classes, quote unquote, that you could do. But regardless, obviously what we're saying is fighter class. If you're going pure fighter, yes, you can make whatever you want with it, sure. The fighter feat tree that they get access to is all combat feats for their bonus feats. They're all combat feats. So, yeah, if you want to go into a different class and stuff, absolutely you can make a fighter that is really good at social because of that other class, right?
I know it's just a matter of time before someone says, well, of course the fighter tree is all combat feats. But may I remind you, there are these things called like witch hunters or something. Like, imagine a fighter that is pursuing a witch and he's got to like talk to the villagers and like figure out what's going on.
And he can do that just fine, yeah.
Well, don't you think that a benefit to, like, say his level 3 thing, as he levels up, like, he can get access to a particular skill, like maybe it's a double proficiency in investigation or something role play-y like that.
Sure.
Like, you don't have to have all of your fighter skills be just like,
And
I can
I
pick
wasn't saying
between
that.
this and this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you did. I was
No, I know.
agreeing with you.
I'm just saying. It's one of those things, like, it's anyone can come up with any situation in that respect, right?
Yeah, I'm simply saying, like, for the watcher of the podcast who goes, oh, well, of course the fighters like skills are all combat related. Like, just remember, you can have blank scenario where
Oh, gotcha.
where just combat might not cut it.
Gotcha. I understand. In 5e, it's probably not as attractive, but I see that fighters still get history, insight, and intimidation as skills they can choose to be proficient in. So I feel like that character could still have a place and would have largely the same advantage as previously mentioned. I mean, basically, the Three Musketeers is a story about intrigue, and D'Artagnan would be a fighter. Yes, and again, you can make the any kind of fighter into whatever. The point is a pure fighter. If you boil it down to what the fighter is a fighter.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know how much more I can say about it. Like, it is strange to see a fighter in such a scenario when there is going to be no combat, right? If you're making that kind of a campaign. But obviously, if you're using D&D, there is a chance of combat. Like, that's just kind of how it is with D&D's system. It's not. I don't know of any system that is purely non-combative.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I have no idea, to be honest.
So, honestly, if somebody finds that, let me know. It'd be great. So, I haven't actually used passive perception yet, and I realized while I was listening that I had misunderstood it. So you apparently don't roll for it, it's just a static number. Yep. Actually, I don't like that. I don't want setting a low DC for a trap to just automatically mean it gets seen. That kind of feels kind of pointless. The other idea that came to my mind in response, though, is to just have players roll spot checks, which I guess would be normal perception in 5e. If there's a trap left out in plain sight where characters may or may not just notice it, depending on whether they're paying enough attention. It's never really occurred to me before to do that. I just automatically associated finding traps with search, but I suppose spot is more appropriate for deciding whether you just notice something. Yeah, that's obviously the difference between search and spot. Is spot, you're just looking around the area. Search, you're actively going into, like, on the floor, you're looking under things, like, you're actively getting in the space.
Yeah. A spot will find you, like, does a fishing wire cross the hallway or something. Whereas a search will find you, does a fishing wire cross the hallway, and is there maybe a pressure plate somewhere?
Right. Yeah, I don't think I would have characters level up mid-battle. It happens in Final Fantasy Tactics, but that's a video game where the process happens instantaneously and you don't have to make any decisions. And even then, you can't spend your job points mid-battle. I don't even have characters level up mid-session. If I'm using experience points, I'll tell everyone how many they each gain in total at the end of the session. If it's enough to promote them to the next level, I expect them to level their characters up over the course of the week. And if they show up to the next session without having done that, they'll be playing without that level. I'll treat it as if they have saved their XP to potentially spend on stuff that costs XP. Fair enough, 3.5 user, I feel you. Not sure what else I need to say about that. Well, I guess I'll mention that I don't really have a strong preference between XP or Milestone. In theory, I probably have a slight preference for Milestone, though, although certain spells do cost experience to cast in 3.5 and Pathfinder 1e. Also, crafting magic items costs XP. I usually don't exactly use Milestone, but I'll give out a gob of XP for finishing quests, even enough that everyone effectively ends up at the level they need to be at when the time comes. You don't only have to give out XP for just killing enemies, of course. On that note, I don't give out XP directly for killing enemies. I give XP per encounter based on overall difficulty. And you don't have to kill anything to gain it, you just have to pass the challenge. And that's fair enough. As long as you successfully do whatever the enemies were trying to keep you from doing, you gain the same amount of XP. I'm not going to assign different amounts of XP based on players choosing a quote-unquote better solution. Whatever works, works, and if there's any negative fallout from how the players went about getting it done, that will manifest itself within the world, not in the XP award. Of course, it helps that all I really do at the beginning of a campaign is storyboard it and design the major locations. I'll probably make the actual dungeons a week or two at most before I expect the party to go through them. So I don't really have any difficulty knowing what level the characters are going to be at that point. And I've got my DMPC for reference. If I'm not afraid to send that character in there, the party can handle it. That's a fair way to use the DMPC.
Yeah, that's a good way to use it, actually.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I'll admit there's potential for a problem there if the party tries to go straight into the final dungeon immediately. But actually, in all my campaigns, the party has never actually even known where the final dungeon was before it was reasonably close to time to go there. You can't just tell me we want to go to the final dungeon now. No, you have to at least be able to point to the position on the map to send your characters there, and you have to tell me why they want to go to that place in particular. If against all odds you happen to point to where the final dungeon is, then so be it, but the final dungeon is not the name of any place in the world. Your characters can't make it their specific destination until they know what it is, and they can't even try to find out where it is until they know it exists, which makes logical sense. I mean, I'm not inherently opposed to the idea of making it a prominent and highly visible location that the characters could immediately know about. I've just never done that. If I did, it would probably be one of the locations I would fully lay out before the campaign started, and that's fair.
Yeah. Effectively, you'd be making, like, the Tower of Mordor.
Right, or Strong's Castle, or, yeah, literally any of those. And if I did that, I'd probably design different parts of the dungeon for different character levels, so the party could visit the place more than once through the campaign. Yeah. Maybe they'll be able to clear one part, then find out something they'll need to go do before they can access the next part, slowly pick it apart over time, and then when they're finally able to enter the inner sanctum, they'll be ready for it. That's the idea, anyway. Yeah.
So like Tartarus from, or like a lot of the dungeons in Persona games, actually.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. So yeah, I see no reason why not to. It seems cool. Yeah. Hey, Steely, the tables are flipping. My brain is tripping. Steely is in the stream. Good evening, gents.
Nice.
How's it going, man? All right. So that's comment. Yay.
Oh my god. That's it?
there was only the one. Yes.
Oh, I know, but you know.
And there wasn't a lot to really go on with it because we agreed with most of it, and there wasn't much to expound upon. Yeah. So that being said, we can move on to the main topic of today, the thing that everyone is excited for. Every single one of you, I swear to better be excited. So, okay, well, that's fair. You know what? I didn't expect much from you.
Wow.
Hey, man.
I'm not sure why that stung so badly.
Hey, man. Expect nothing and deliver less, okay? Like,
yeah, no. I know that motto. I should have implemented it by now.
Yeah, there you go. So we are going to be looking into Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the introduction to WFRP. Oh. Yes.
Before we start the video, I have something I would like to... It's a little homebrewy. I would like to just kind of put feelers out for.
Sure. Yeah.
I saw on Reddit, like, day before yesterday, I think. Maybe it was yesterday. Either way, that humans generally are, at least going off of how we've evolved on our planet, generally are incredibly smart and incredibly dexterous.
Sure.
As such, they should not get a +1 to all stats. They should have a +2 to intelligence and to dexterity.
Okay.
However, Warforged were constructed to be highly adaptable and like laborers.
Mhm.
As such, they should be a sort of a jack of all trades.
Okay.
And Warforged should get the +1 to all stats.
I would be totally okay with that.
I would say either +1 to all stats or +2 to any of your choice. That way you
Ooh.
could say my Warforged is
was
built
specialized for
specifically
something.
to
Was
do this.
specialized, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'd be fine with either of those.
No, I'm totally cool with that. Yeah, that's basically what human is. I've just realized that is
Yeah.
that is actually what human is.
Yeah.
So yes, make Warforged human and make human elf.
Oh,
think
no,
elf
they
is
get
elf.
dexterity and
Wisdom
charisma.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
charisma. Okay, what am I? Is it gnome?
Maybe gnome.
It might be gnome.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Gnome or dwarf.
Right.
No,
But anyway.
dwarf gets strength.
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, so I mean that sounds more accurate to me, I guess, but I think it's because they want humans to be the most generic thing. That's why they do that, you know?
Yeah.
Well, generic.
Plus,
but
they
also...
want to give you a reason to play humans in the world filled with dwarves and elves and orcs and minotaurs and ogres and giants and shit.
That would give you more of a reason, I would argue, because of the stat boosts.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. They want
more of a reason than the DM stifles my creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean.
Because I basically never really want to play humans because I am a human. I know. I've been
fair.
playing a human all my life. I want to play something else, man.
Hey, Pizza Funk, how's it going? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I really like that idea for them.
Yeah.
It sounds great. But yeah, cool. Anyway, so let's move over to the video. Now this is actually coming from one of the creators. I watched a few seconds of this. One of the creators of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Wow.
So I'm interested to see what they have to say about it, because this is just an introduction, which means we'll learn what we need to know to get interested in the game, right?
By the way, Alejo, may I also have a link to the stream?
Yes, sorry. I know you want that these days.
And before you go ahead and start, I'm just going to do one thing real quick. I'll be right back in just a few seconds. You can go ahead and start it if you need to.
No, I can wait. It's cool.
Yeah, you're not getting out of this that easy.
Well, I was gonna say, what's interesting about this is I have this video and one other video today. This one being Warhammer Fantasy, and then the other one being Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound, which is apparently the other TTRPG that GW has allowed this company to make, that is based off of Age of Sigmar, which is interesting because I've never heard of it, because no one talks about, well, people talk about Age of Sigmar, but in a negative light, you know? Which, like, so having listened to a lot of stuff, I understand why they did it, why they've made it Age of Sigmar, is to quote-unquote rebrand and reintroduce Warhammer Fantasy, right? Because Warhammer Fantasy wasn't selling. And now Age of Sigmar is selling. So that's a thing. But it also means that they can still use the old Warhammer Fantasy stuff, mostly, I think. I don't know. But
maybe I don't know.
But regardless,
okay, sorry, I got pulled aside.
You're good.
All I know about GW these days is they
are being shitters.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they old yellered all of their creatives.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks. I found out that the guy who does If the Emperor Had TTS only stopped
Brava Alpha Busa.
Yes. Only stopped because they didn't want shit to go down, you know?
Yeah.
They were just like, it wasn't that GW told them to. It was they were just like, no, I don't want to deal with that. And I'm like, oh man.
Yep. But it's because they've set the precedent that they're like,
yes,
if you make shit that we don't do, that's copyright infringement, and we will come after you.
Well, this
That's
is the other thing. I listened to. I don't know if either of you. I doubt. If either of you know of Cold Open Stories.
No, can't say I've heard the name.
Okay. They are associated with Lorehammer.
Okay.
But which I have now caught up to date, which is good. But
Congratulations.
thank you. But Cold Open Stories is fan created stories in the 41st millennium of just like radio dramas and stuff, right? In a way. And they aren't stopping because GW, they had talks with them and they were like, oh no, you're good, you can keep going.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so like I don't know how much is actually happening in that sense, right? I feel like it's a lot of bad PR that's happening.
Fuck. Damn it.
What?
Sorry.
No, you're
Put
good.
the wrong paint and the wrong thing. Fuck.
Oh, you're fine.
So I'm continuing the story mode of Remnant, and I stumbled upon an area that is exactly the same as the first area on Earth that we cleared.
Nice.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I hope that gets cleared up soon, or they do something, because that shit has not been fun.
Yeah, no, it is really not.
But yeah, Steely says, interestingly, I tend to like to play humans the most. It might be because I have a thing for the idea of a regular person who succeeds through skill and determination rather than natural gifts. Kind of how I like Imperial Guard over Space Marines. Well, Space Marines aren't human.
Yeah, no, they're not human anymore.
They're not human. So fair enough.
Not anymore, at least. They used to be.
Yeah. They're transhuman. Absolutely.
Yes, they are.
100%.
Plus, the fucking, honestly, I prefer the Guard over the Space Marines just because the Guard are the Chads.
True.
I prefer the Guard. I prefer the Guard over Space Marines because they have overwhelming artillery.
True. But anyway, so we will continue on with the video, or at least start it, I mean.
Hello, I'm Podrick Murphy, and I'm the producer here on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay at Cubicle 7 Games. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is a role-playing game set in the grim and perilous old world. The game itself has been around since the 1980s, and we're currently involved in its 4th edition.
Wow,
it's extremely popular and enjoyed by people the world.
Yeah, and this didn't come out too long ago. Apparently, this was 2020, I think.
Damn. Only 4 editions in 40 years.
Yeah, let me make double sure.
Wow.
Warhammer Fantasy 4th edition state. Yes. Sorry. 2017.
Okay.
No. Okay, sorry. They announced it in 2017. They came out in 2018 with digital formats in August, and then a physical release in November of 2018. So
okay,
yeah. So it's still around.
It's still 4th edition.
Yep.
Nice. So is this 4th edition a bunch of memes as well?
God no. Everybody has reverence for this.
Yeah. Right.
What differentiates it a little bit from some other role-playing games you might have enjoyed is its particularly brutal and unforgiving setting. Here, you don't begin life as great heroes ready to go out and prove your destiny, but as rat catchers, beggars, and unwary nobles thrust into adventures that you're clearly not prepared for, and you'll be very lucky to survive. Part of what makes it so intriguing and challenging and rewarding is when you do manage to snap some modicum of victory and adventure from a very unfair world, which is almost certainly out to kill you at every possible opportunity. It's one of my favourite role-playing games, and I think that it could be yours as well. But first, let's talk a little bit about the setting.
Sure.
The setting is one of the most appealing parts of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The old world itself has been explored in dozens of books, games, tabletop battle games, role-playing games, computer games over the years, and its rich history and background appeals to people the world over, and for good reason. Most of your adventures will take place in the Empire. It's
Lame.
probably the single most powerful country in the world.
I mean, it's the only place where you could probably not die within the first few minutes.
I want to be a Skaven.
I mean, you could. That's the thing.
Yeah, you can be a Skaven in the Empire.
Oh, setting up an Undercity.
But they don't exist.
Well. Wow. You could be trying to start an Undercity.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skaven don't
Mostly
exist in
occupied by
D&D,
humans,
you know
though
that.
with some halflings, elves, and of course the dwarves, who have had an alliance with humans stretching back to the very foundations of the Empire 2,500 years ago. To the west, you have the Wasteland, so named because it was deemed worthless and given away long ago to local minor lords. But the city of Marienburg has grown into a powerful merchant presence there. To the west is Bretonnia, another human-dominated empire where
Bretonia's pretty cool.
mighty knights cross the land, many of them in service to the Lady of the Lake, a deity they revere but perhaps barely
It's the Simp Nation, dude.
It's the Simp Nation. And their battle cry is...
understand. Also to the west and further to the south is Athelloran. It is woods ruled by the strange and unearthly wood elves. Their kind find it difficult to relate to humans, and indeed humans find it particularly
And their
difficult to relate to
amber
them.
addiction.
It is a brave band indeed that wanders inside that forest, and very few ever come out alive again. To the south you have the Border Princes, wild lands, ruled by warlords, tyrants and worse. But further to the west of that you have Tilia, and further on Estalia, other human countries, human-dominated countries, that further from the chaos wastes than the Empire could perhaps be seen as somewhat soft by your average imperial citizen. To the north, you have Kislev,
They're bears.
another human-dominated country, but beyond that, things start to get a little bit more dicey. There's Troll Country, occupied by terrible monsters, trolls, ogres and worse, and beyond that, Norska, and further still the northern wastes. Far, far beyond that, rumours of a portal by which the forces of chaos enter the world. Indeed, frequently in the Empire's 2,500-year history, forces have poured forth from the north and laid waste.
Poured
to much of
forth
the
from the
Empire.
north.
It's been riven with internal strife. It's fallen apart, been put back together. And indeed, inside the Empire, there's still forces always chipping away at it. Chaos sometimes comes in the form of large armies of terrible beasts and corrupted beings, but other times it's a more insidious threat that chips away from the inside. Your adventurers will have the opportunity to confront chaos, and if they're lucky, escape it, as well as confront the other forces that dominate the world. Not all of them inherently evil, but all of them diametrically opposed to you getting ahead in the world. The Empire itself is 2,500 years old. It was founded by Sigmar, who was once a man, a tribal chieftain, but ascended to godhood, and indeed is revered as a god throughout the Empire. There are other religions which...
I find it funny just how, how Mordheim exists and Sigmar's, what was it? It's Sigmar's Comet, I believe. Where it's like everybody looks at it every time it goes by and they're like, oh, Sigmar, yeah, and then it fucking crashes into Mordheim and becomes like the worst place ever because of it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like,
the
Sigmar though.
wasn't the twin-tailed comet? Wasn't that a warpstone comet?
Yes,
It was.
Yeah. It's a Warpstone Comet, absolutely. But Sigmar though.
Oh, that's ours.
are of equal and greater importance in some places. Middenheim, for example, reveres the god of winter, wolves, and warfare, Ulrich. And indeed, there are other minor cults. The Empire is a polytheistic setting, and somewhere that everyone can find a deity that appeals to them personally, and most people are sensible enough to hedge their bets and make offerings to more than one. If you're interested in playing Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, there are two main ways to get into the game. If you're an experienced role player, you can probably go right ahead and buy the core rulebook. The core rulebook contains everything you need to know how to play, It's got character creation, setting information. It's got all of the rules you need to run an excellent game, as well as various player aids, equipment, everything else you need to play.
Well, gives you
aids. Only
aids?
book, if you could only get one book for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, that is the book to pick up. Alternatively, and even if you are experienced, but particularly if you're not totally comfortable with role-playing games, we recommend picking up the starter set. The starter set takes place in the city of Uberjet, which is one of the main merchant cities in the Reichland province of the Empire. Uberjet, the setting, is built out in depth inside the starter kit. A host of adventures are laid.
Apologies for us not really saying too much. There's nothing.
This is just a learning experience, really.
There's nothing to really comment on at the moment, like, other than our little jokes or talking about lore,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is literally just Warhammer Age of Sigmar lore.
No. Yeah. This is fantasy lore. Age of Sigmar will be in the next video. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they've rebranded.
Yes.
But I don't know I know that there is something of a difference. I don't know what the difference is. I've never looked
Yeah, a whole bunch. Basically, it's the end times.
Oh, is Age of Sigmar the end times?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, I thought the end times already happened.
Nope. Well, I mean, they have now.
What? Yeah, okay. Well, okay. Anyway.
Yeah, no, the end times have happened in the Age of Sigmar. That's why a lot of people don't like it, because they killed off so many beloved characters during the end times.
Good.
That was why.
I don't... Okay. I would say, not knowing who they killed off, but also saying, like, how in Warhammer 40k, every character lives forever?
Yeah.
And that's a problem? Mm-hmm. I feel like that's good that they would kill off some of the characters, because I understand not being able to use the models anymore and shit, but, like, you can still play old,
Yeah, you can just play fantasy.
Warhammer Fantasy, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, even so, fucking, like, for the setting itself, I feel like if you're going to progress the setting to this time period, you gotta expect some death, right?
Yeah, you gotta have something happen.
Otherwise, there's very little stakes, I would say.
Yeah, there are no stakes.
It's just like, why is everybody alive still? I don't get it. It's like,
it's like in 40k with the Primarchs.
It's like with the Primarchs, I can understand because they literally can live forever. Like, that's their thing.
Yeah.
Some of them have died in the past and such, but the heroes of the Tau, the Imperium,
in the past, because not all Primarchs who have died are dead now.
Yeah.
True. But well, see, the moment they bring back Sanguinius is the moment where Warhammer 40k is ruined. So once they do that, or they would fucking Emperor forbid bring back Horus. But anyway,
would they?
No, God no. I swear to God, if they ever did, it would be the worst.
Yeah, that'd be dumb.
I think they would.
No. They did the whole Horus clone thing, which was a failed experiment, which was their only, like, time where they tried to do something like that, and that was fine, because, again, a clone is not the same as bringing back the actual guy, because the clones were all warped and garbage.
They were shit.
Yeah.
I think they would, because GW is not known for its subtlety.
Yeah, there's that.
I don't want
Like,
this.
they're the kind to walk up to a delicate vase with a baseball bat.
And then shoot it.
Yes.
With the baseball bat?
No, with a gun.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's true. You're right.
With a bolter.
You're right.
And bringing Horus back and having him continue his crusade against humanity would be a very bold and I don't want to say outstanding, because outstanding
It would be
implies
remarkable.
good.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would be remarkable, but not in a good way.
No.
It would be outspace standing,
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
which is to say it's very like, oh shit,
Right.
and GW wants people going, oh shit, whether or not that oh shit
Well,
is good or bad.
so To counter that a little bit, I would say that they're already doing enough with Abaddon.
He hasn't done anything since Cadia, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
So
13th Black Crusade was the last notable thing he did.
So
obviously, what he did to Cadia was bad, but like
yes.
he hasn't done shit in a long time.
Do you understand what he did, though?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
I know.
Okay.
But again, why is he resting on his laurels? Do more. The Chaos Gods wait for no one.
Because, one, Warhammer is a setting, not a story. Warhammer 40k is a setting. They have advanced the setting to this point, yes. Thus making the story go a little further. But, like, if they were to do more with it right now, it's like, okay, yeah, we can get there. But I feel like at the moment, we're playing in the Indominus Crusade era. Like, that is what's going on right now. That's what's happening, right? Yes. And Abaddon was he has completed his thing. Like his 13 Black Crusades, all parts of them, there's a little thing where all parts of them relate to prophecies in some way in order to bring about the splitting or the tearing of the galaxy with the Eye of Terror opening the eye.
Okay.
Right? So he has done it. He has done his thing. If they make him go do more stuff, great. But it's just happened, my man, you know?
How long ago did Cadia fall?
230 years ago.
Okay, yeah, and honestly, in the grand scheme of things, that's not very
long.
Yeah, that's very recent.
And Indominus.
I thought that was a long time ago. That's my bad.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's 230 years. I'll double check, but I have current number in my head.
Yeah, current timeline maybe. Yeah. And they just made it so Indominus, instead of being over with Primaris now coming out, is currently still going. So that Primaris makes more sense because it didn't make as much sense before.
Yeah.
So it says before its destruction and consumption by the Immaterium in 999, which would be current year, but M41.
Yep, we're in the 42nd. Yeah.
Are we in the 42nd?
Yeah.
I thought we were in the 41st.
No, we've been in the 42nd for a little while now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the marketing always says in the 41st millennium, yada yada yada.
Yeah, it's because nothing has taken place in current year, it seems, for some reason.
Well, except for the Octarius shit, but I mean,
right, but
nobody cares about that.
That's coming now. Like, it hasn't happened yet, technically, because it hasn't been released yet.
Over on the side of the wiki, there's orbital radius, gravity, which they actually had 1.12 times our gravity. Population 0 currently.
Who?
Yeah.
Who, Cadia?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no shit. What the fuck? Anyway, we're talking about 40K now.
I was going to say, so I'm glad they killed things. Good.
Yes, it's good that they killed people. Most of the Skaven did it.
Yeah.
I am of the mind where I actually, like, there are characters I did like and were beloved by me who did die in Age of Sigmar. But I am fully cognizant of the fact of having a character I like in Warhammer is a chancy game to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Game of Thrones to the extreme.
Yes, that's what it should be. Absolutely.
When I learn to die, I go, man, and it ruins a night, but that's kind of the end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, who else is cool? Oh, you're cool. Sweet.
Yeah, I was going to say,
done.
We've got plenty to choose from.
Yeah.
So AOS is post-end times. It doesn't even take place on the same world.
What?
Oh.
Wait, what? Huh?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought the end times
takes place on a different world.
That's what I thought was happening.
Yeah, I knew it was very closely related to the end times. I thought it was just the end times.
Maybe when we get to that video, it'll explain more. I hope so.
Fuck?
But anyway, are we in the end times IRL? Yes.
Yes.
All the time. Every time. And then Steely says, as I understand it, after Cadia, Chaos had a pretty serious incursion into the Empire, and it's threatening Terra. I mean, yes, in general, because they are just allowed to come through all the time now.
Yeah.
So yes, it's pretty bad out there, which is good,
As it should be.
Yes. Anyway, fantasy.
Laid out for a party to dive in, and indeed 6 pre-generated characters are included. So in the starter set, you have everything you need to dive in straight away. There's a cut-down version of the rules, which lays out all of the most important concepts in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. There's various reference cards, a nice selection of tokens to help you keep track of important game concepts, and various cheat sheets to let you get through combats, tests, and all of the other things you need to do to play Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay as easily as possible.
Yes.
It's an excellent way for new players to pick up the game, and even if you are experienced, the setting information is very, very good. And it leads nicely into Uberjet Adventures, which are a series of adventures that we've made available both online and as a printed product. That let you expand the story of Uberjet and the story of your adventures. And
every time I see products that are like, hey, we also have this online that you can get as a PDF, I'm like, man, D&D, why?
Yeah.
Right? Like, come on.
I really like having the books,
money.
but
Yeah, exactly. I think that Sealy says, I think that maybe the issue people had with the end times may have been not only that characters died, but all of their fighting was for nothing because everything was destroyed in the end. But that's...
I mean, that is kind of Warhammer in a nutshell.
I was going to say, the inevitability of the place being destroyed is fine with me. Again, that's with me. But,
yeah,
like, to have it become another setting is also fine with me. Because they didn't technically do just, this is it again. They do have, like, characters who are dead, right?
Yes.
Like, they can't stop it again, right? Or try to again. Like, they have another chance, but is it really another chance, or is it the gods really playing another, game with them?
Yeah.
You know? In the sense of, you will always suffer.
Yeah. Because we hate you.
Yeah, which I'm like, that sounds pretty good. I like
it's very
eternal
honestly,
suffering, grimdark.
One, grimdark, yes. 2, it's honestly slightly Lovecraftian, if only in the sense that there's no winning, there's only delaying the inevitable.
Yes. Yep.
And that's always a very not appealing, but very I don't even know the word. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
compelling. It's a very compelling story type.
Gotcha.
Experiences in the city and beyond. Let's take a moment to talk about some of the core concepts of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So, first, let's take a look at one of the pre-generated characters from the starter set. This is Gunnar Rolfsson. Gunnar is a dwarf, and specifically he's a slayer. Slayers are dwarves who, through some personal tragedy, some great shame, or some other betrayal or terrible act, have been forced to swear the Slayer's Oath. Gunnar has given up all of the life he knew. Everyone he may have ever known would disavow him, and now he simply seeks an honourable death in combat. So Gunnar naturally would like to take up the life of an adventurer, and it's perhaps one of the more natural fits you'll find for it in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. But let's take a look at what we need to play. There's only 2 dice that you'll ever need. Together these are called a D100. One of them shows the tens, and the other shows the units. When you roll the 2 together, you simply read off the number. I've got a 10 on my tens dice, or a 1 I should say, and a 5 on my units dice. So that means that's a 15. I'm always trying to roll low in Warframe. Okay. And in most cases I simply want to roll below the number printed on my character sheet for a specific action. Cool. So for example, Gunnar is quite good in a fight. His weapon skill is 45. So when I roll, if I get 45 or less, in this case a 31, I've probably succeeded at what I'm trying to do. Sometimes I'll be opposed by someone else, and the degree by which I've succeeded will become important. These are called success levels, and you work them out by taking the tens number, in this case a 3, and subtracting that from the number printed on your character sheet. So that's a 45. So 3 from 4 leaves me with 1 success level. That's probably a hit, but if my opponent defended very well, I may have missed.
Oh,
Simpler
okay.
tests.
Okay, so that's a simpler way to do it. Which
That's
is
a very interesting way. I didn't follow 100%, I'll be honest.
So it's literally because his skill is 45, rolling a 31 means you just do the tens place when you take away what you've rolled from your skill. And that becomes your level of success. So say I rolled a 22 and my skill is 45. You subtract the 20 from the 40, and then you get 2. So technically, it's just the place itself, not the actual number. So it would be 4 subtracting 2, which means 2, yes. And thus I have 2 levels of success, right?
Oh.
In which case, if the other person gets 1 level of success, or technically 0 levels of success, right? They get like a 41, then I beat them. But if they get a 2 or more, then they beat me or we meet. You know,
that's weird.
It's a little strange, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I would have to play it and get used to it.
Right. Yeah. It makes sense to me, thankfully, to like that is very simple. I don't know, for me. I don't know. It's weird.
No, that's fine. I mean, hey, if it's simple for you, then you're gonna run it.
Okay, I actually was thinking. I was thinking about maybe us doing fucking 40k RPG.
Oh, I know you wanted to do a 40k.
Because I having Dark Heresy and being Inquisitors going around and going, heretic, would be really fun.
Yeah. Just like fucking making everybody a heretic and just try not to be declared excommunicators.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Only other Inquisitors can do that to you, and you're in a party full of them. It's fine.
Oh, it's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I hang out with Inquisitor Cryptman and we can go fuck up the Tyranids? No? Okay.
Yeah, God, no. I won't let you do that.
I know.
Hey, Boo, do you want to team up against Alejo and say that he's a traitor?
Yes.
No!
Hey,
my
Alejo,
DMPC!
I have word that that Boo is gonna try to call you a traitor.
Oh.
How about you pay me 50 gold
and
before he says you're a traitor, we both say he's a traitor.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
But you have no proof that I was going to do that.
That doesn't mean anything.
Inquisitors don't
need proof? What do you mean?
Yeah, you guys are the bad cops.
You're right, exactly. You can be that Inquisitor. It's fucked.
Yeah.
You just feel heretic-y to me. I guess you're a heretic now.
Sigmar.
Just want to know not him. Or not. For example, on a consume alcohol test, something else Gunnar is very skilled at. Gunnar has a 63 in consume alcohol. I simply roll, and finding a 15, I've succeeded very, very well by at least 5 success levels, which means that Gunnar is not really feeling this particular drink and probably go for a few more. Very
That's funny
for a dwarf.
Steely says, you know who would demand proof? A heretic!
Oh,
true.
Damn it.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Warhammer.
Yeah, that too.
As we just discussed, Gunnar is fond of a drink. He probably drinks a little bit too much at times, and even when he's sober, he can still be something of a grating individual. Late one night, after enjoying a few kegs of weak human ale, but nevertheless, quantity has a quality all of its own, Gunnar insults the wrong noble. Stumbling out of the bar late that night, singing an ode to the tragic fall of Carrick Eight Peaks. Gunnar is confronted by the noble in the street, who pulls forth his rapier and without a word dives for the dwarf. In all likelihood, the last mistake that man will ever make. The first thing we'll want to look at is Gunnar's initiative stat. It's 34. You compare that to everybody else's initiative and that decides who goes first. We do include an option rule for randomizing this, but we don't suggest you use it when you're starting out.
Fair enough.
Let's say the noble has an initiative of 30. Gunnar's a little bit faster than him. Despite the noble making the first move, Gunnar isn't surprised. He is always expecting a fight. The blade strikes towards his heart. So, Gunnar is going to strike first, and all we need to do here is roll against Gunnar's weapon skill. Now, if you're playing, later on you'll see that there are melee skills for specific weapons, and that's not covered in the starter set, but that lets you add an extra depth to your character's customization. Someone might be extremely skilled, for example, in two-handed weapons, but not be so great with a rapier. Gunnar is very
okay,
good
yeah.
with his axe, however. He strikes out. He rolls a 12. That's an excellent roll. Taking the 1 on the 10s dice away from the 4 in the 10s
God, his
of
voice is
Gunnar's
so
weapon
relaxing.
skill, we see that's a success by 3.
Starting to get tired.
Noble's surprised, but still has trained in the
He's the
foil. It might well
binging
carry.
binging with Babish of RPGs.
Of Warhammer Fantasy. He's one of the creators, so you know. I'm glad you're getting relaxed to his dulcet tones.
I know, it's like really frustrating because I'm trying to paint.
49. He does not parry. He's less skilled than Gunnar,
Warhammer
and even
ASMR.
with the bonus SL from his defensive weapon, that's still not enough to stop the dwarf's attack. Gunnar passes by 1 success level against the noble, which means it's a hit. So we add that to Gunnar's damage. Gunnar's damage comes from his strength bonus and his weapon. So taking a look at his axe, we see that the damage is +4. This has all been worked out for you in advance. So we add the 4 from his axe to the 3 from his strength for 7, and then the 1 from the extra SL that wasn't needed to hit the noble. So any extra SL that you didn't need gets added to damage for 8 damage altogether. Now the noble takes his toughness bonus away from that, and he would take any armor away from it as well.
Gotcha.
But probably out for a night out. He isn't wearing his leathers or anything like that. So he's cut and loses wounds. In this case, we did 8 damage. We'll take away the noble's toughness bonus of 3, meaning that was 5 damage.
Right.
Let's see where he hit.
Oh,
You'd
hit
normally do this
locations.
first in case there was any armor to take account of. For example, armor on your
interesting.
chest doesn't protect you if you're hitting your leg. That's a 77, which on the hit points chart printed on the character sheet we can see is a hit to the body. Gunnar.
Dude, okay, all right. So
Yep.
I am super into this, actually.
Yeah, Cthulhu also has a system like that, but instead of it being a D100 roll to determine hit location, it's just a D10.
Cool. Absolutely cool. I really enjoy this just being you only need D100. Like that's it. That is super neat to me because it's just 2 dice and that's it. And you get to roll them a lot, which is sick. And I very much enjoy the ability to target different parts of the body.
Well, you can try.
Right, exactly. Depending on what you roll.
Yes.
Which can negate armor.
Yes.
Like that's sick, right? Like if I were to see this and like somebody's holding a shield in their right hand and they roll to hit me, but then like it rolls to go for the shield, I assume that makes it so it's harder for them to do damage to me because of the shield being there, you know? And like that's super cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice way to kind of simulate it's not exactly technically random when you're in I would assume a true fight.
Because you'd be aiming. For
right, exactly. You'd be aiming. And I wonder if there is an aiming mechanic or something.
There probably is a way to make called shots.
Right, exactly. I would hope so. But if there isn't, then we would probably add a rule because that sounds fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is super, like, it feels complex enough.
Mm-hmm.
With the armor, with the toughness, with all of this kind of stuff, as well as the slight randomness with the hits, to be this really streamlined thing that also seems to have a lot of depth, at least just straight out from the combat only, right?
Yeah.
I would love to see crafting, maybe. I would love to see, like, what else they have, you know?
Yeah.
This
is a game that I've wanted to pick up for a while, and that's why I wanted to do this video, because I'm like, I want to know a little bit more about this. Even though I'm probably going to pick up the book regardless, I'd like to see it.
That is fair, absolutely. Steely says, I would love to see location-based attacks more often in TTRPGs. I'm sure you could homebrew it in most systems, but it's nice if it's designed in. Yeah. It's always interesting to see these kinds of things that are made for you as a baseline, you know?
Yes, that are just straight up in the game to begin with. You don't have to add them in, and it's planned for.
Yeah, and you can just ignore them if you don't want them, and if you do, then you can use them. It's great.
Yeah.
And beds his axe in the noble's chest. 5 wounds is probably quite a lot to lose. Gunnar has quite a lot of wounds, 18, because he's a dwarf, but
Jesus.
your average human probably only has between 10 and 12. That's a serious, serious injury. And this noble is probably immediately thinking twice about what he's just gotten himself into. If he's with a bunch of friends, he may pull back and the friends will dive in, much to Gunnar's delight. But as he came on his own tonight, he almost certainly drops his foil where it stands and runs into the street, white as a sheet, both from fear and from blood loss. Gunnar probably heads home, or perhaps back to the bar for a nightcap after such an exhilarating diversion. So, if you've already picked up our starter set or core rulebook and you're plunging deep into the mired and dangerous streets of Uberjet and enjoying your adventures across the Empire and the old world at large, you may find yourself wondering what other Warhammer Fantasy roleplay products are available and where can I get them? Sure. So let's help you out with that. The first one that you might be interested in is a web exclusive, and it's our all rolled up dice trays. Now, these are really, really cool.
Oh!
They come nicely packed up like this, and you can pack them back up like that when you need to bring them from place to place.
Interesting.
And via a very clever system of buttons,
yeah.
They turn into a really nice dice tray. Now, these are available in 3 styles. They keep your dice under control and not running all over the table, which is great. And I also like them for when you're playing online and you want to roll physical dice. These don't clatter quite so loudly, so you're not going to annoy all your fellow players by rolling huge, loud dice on echoey wooden tables. So I really like these. There's 3 really nice pieces of art on them, and I think they're a great present for yourself or for somebody else. They're really, really nice. So the GM screen consists of 2 components, which you get both in the bundle when you order it. And the first is the Game Master screen document, which contains advice on how to run Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It's very, very useful for new GMs, but there's also lots of concepts, rules, and charts in here that will be super helpful to veterans as well. So it contains advice on what makes Warhammer Warhammer, how to run a game, the main themes and ideas that run throughout stories in the old world. And of course, this is just advice, but will help you run a game that's very authentically Warhammer and really, really suits the old world. And I think that it can help make games more fun to run and more fun to play. It also touches on some of the more intricate rules of the setting. So you've got some ideas on how to deal with advantage, because sometimes players that are very canny can run away from you if you aren't careful about taking their advantage away from them, which is an important combat consideration. Along with that, you'll find some interesting advice on making some NPCs. Just one of my favorites are in here, which is an excellent cheesemonger that I definitely think you should try.
Cheesemonger, nice.
And we also have the charts at the back. Now these are very, very handy for quickly coming up with adventures on the fly. So we've got a kind of we're hanging out in a pub chart, which lets you know, like a quick adventure you could find if you're struck for a job where you might make a few coin nice and quickly. It also contains a chart to explain how characters might know each other, which is useful for NPCs or for PCs starting out.
Just ask that.
I know not everybody loves running large session zeros where you figure out how everybody knows each other. So it can be good just roll a dice and say, well, I know you because I used to date your sister, and you know me because you killed my landlord one time and I helped you hide the body. So there's interesting stuff in there. And my favorite chart of all is definitely the chart of doomings. So in the Empire, when you're 10 years old, that's the age of majority, when you're just about an adult, a doomsayer will come around and give you your dooming, which is a cryptic phrase explaining how you will die.
Oh my god!
Hang over you.
I didn't know about that. That's great.
When you're 10?
Yeah, when you're 10.
What the fuck?
I love Warhammer. It's great.
When you're most prepared for it, one might say.
Yeah. Well, it's so you can get yourself prepared.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, well, you're gonna die this way, so get to work.
Remember, it's cryptic enough that you'll be afraid of so many things by the time you're 11.
But you know what? You know who will might be able to deliver you from this? Sigmar.
Sigmar.
So, can I expect a donation?
Right, you'll have to go to the local church, won't you, boy?
For the rest of your life. And I think that probably helps set the tone for the lives of people who... the lives of...
That's hilarious. I love it.
And also it intersects nicely with some game mechanics, which is if your character dies in a way that suits their dooming, they get to retain a chunk of their XP, or rather the player does, for their next character.
Oh, interesting.
So I really love this document. I think it's great. And as I said, for new GMs or for experienced veterans, just pick this up. It will help you create just more flavor.
You know, that's a good thing to use for something that's very meat grindery in general, you know?
Yeah.
Never thought about that, of like maybe giving a boost just because
you died in a particular way.
Right, yeah.
Like, did the paladin die like extolling the virtues of his god and defending those beneath him?
Right. Know? Yeah. You could probably implement this in anything.
I was gonna say I might implement that into 5e. Like, standard is party level -1, or average party level -1.
Yeah.
But maybe like say paladin dies like in a very self-sacrificing manner. That's very much like among the virtues that they
extol.
Okay, it was extol. Like that's the word that came to mind, and then I paused. I was like, I don't know if that means that. So like, maybe they their next character is current party level, or what I would probably more do is you're still party level -1, but you're gonna level up pretty quickly into you catching up. Like, will be maybe a 2 or 3 week process.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And I don't know if you guys are getting this impression as well, but the way he's talking and the recommendations that he's making, I get the distinct impression that I am getting this advice from someone who is experienced at running the game and actually really knows what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And this advice, I don't know what it is. It's hitting different, and it's hitting in a fantastic way.
Yeah, no,
like, I think this is all fantastic advice.
Yeah, no, there hasn't been a single thing that I've been like, what? Right? Yeah. Like, it very much fits the setting, like, from everything that I know about Warhammer Fantasy, and all of the stuff just seems very much, and again, this is meant for, a little bit of this is meant for newer people, right, who don't know maybe potentially how to run a game and such, but even so, it's still good to point these things out for them, and it's not like telling you specifically, this is
this or do that.
Exactly. It is like, these are here for you to use.
Yes,
right?
And even if you are experienced and you think you want to, like, and you are good at this, I still recommend you pick this up because of this, and this.
Yeah, exactly. That's also true.
Yeah, that's really good.
I like that a lot, and I know it's because he's trying to sell me something.
I mean, obviously, yes, but I don't know, man. I like it.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Really good.
It's one of those things where he's trying to sell me something, but he's talking to me like I'm not a child.
Yeah, he's not. He is clearly not a salesman.
Yes,
he's just a person.
Right. It doesn't feel corporate.
It's a, we designed this because this.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I used to be in like a sales position, and my biggest problem with it was that I'm like, the people who are really good at it, they are downright predatory. This doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. That's fair.
At all.
One of the things I've actually sort of picked up has been that I have the feeling that this is a person who's been on both sides of the DM screen.
True.
And what's more, it's possible he scripted his whole Gunner talking to the noble thing.
Sure.
But I don't get that vibe. Like,
right. It feels like it came off his head.
It feels ad-libbed.
Yeah. Absolutely. It feels very natural, and that's cool.
Yeah. We like this video.
Yes, very much so.
I wish I had more to say. I wish this were a Garibay video where I could relentlessly mock what is said. Unfortunately, it's just talking about the basic principles
of
the system.
Yes, yeah. Which
now I know one thing that I hope he does go into a little bit. I was actually looking on DriveThruRPG relatively recently, and I don't actually remember what I was looking for, but I stumbled on a supplement book for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and the supplement is just called The Great Horned Rat. And it is all about the Skaven. I hope that he mentions that they have like supplements that expand races and things like that. I really hope he includes that.
He might not. It's only like a couple minutes
Yeah,
left,
I'm
but
doubtful given the time frame.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to do like a big, long, in-depth thing of it. He could just say, also, there are these supplements that add additional races if, blank.
Right. And potentially he might, but if he doesn't, I'm also like, that's fair. This is for newer people mostly.
It's true.
Who might not know entirely about the setting, because he explained the setting itself for a while as
It's true. It is true.
Plus, like, when the video was published, those books might not have even been things.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I gotta stifle my my desires, Mr. Video reviewer man.
I've moved into not just creativity stifling, but now you can't even be happy.
Oh, why you gotta stifle? Why do you gotta stifle my happiness,
Stifle
Mr.
my joy.
Dickhead man?
You sound quite far away, by the way, Aiden.
Me?
Oh,
No,
sorry.
Aiden.
I've got a headache blooming.
Oh,
so
okay.
I leaned back and closed my eyes and currently covering them.
Okay, no worries.
Well, why do you gotta stifle my ability to hear you?
God damn.
Do you want me to move the mic up to my mouth? I can do that.
I'd rather you didn't.
No, you're good.
No? Okay. Then
okay.
maybe we'll stick with this option.
Okay.
Steely says, dooming when the Skaven are coming. Let's see. Your death will be rats. Yours will also be rats. Rats.
Well,
hey, all of these are rats. Strange.
Your death will be rats. Your death will be warpstone bullet in the temple. Huh, that's weird. You will be a plague corpse falling on your house. What? That can't be right.
Your death will be trampling. There's some in here about being trampled by people, but I see the final cause of death was trampled by rats.
Yeah.
Big rats. Woo.
And then Steely then says, I would love to play in a game with this guy's GM. Yeah. Or where in a game this guy GMs. Yeah. And Miss Lady says, please put the mic to your mouth. No, don't do it. No.
Well, Aiden.
Oh no.
Requested it.
Hey man, you asked me to.
Yeah, he did.
He's done it.
I'll lower my volume.
No, you're good. Giant hamster wheel. What even is that? Yeah, true. Anyway, let's finish.
Dude, I swear I need a Warhammer fantasy game where the Death Namer does not know where Skaven or what Skaven are.
Yeah. Because nobody does. They don't exist.
Right, yeah.
Right?
They're not a thing.
Yeah.
Weird.
I'm seeing something here about you die to lightning.
Huh.
I'm seeing something here, you die to a Giselle.
Whatever that is.
What the hell is that? I see something about you dying to a nuclear device?
Oh god, yeah.
That's how the campaign starts, dude. You go out of the city to help somebody farm cattle or whatever, and then as you're returning home, you crest over the hill to see a fucking nuke falling on your town. And Skaven just
see the
like
cloud.
dancing around it. You know?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
You will die to clan rats. May I suggest don't get rats into a clan?
Exactly. Anyway, let's finish this up.
Yeah.
Interesting games and the burden of running games a little bit easier. Along with that, you also get this very cool thing, which is our GM screen. It's printed on a 3mm very heavy backed material. Which contains some really lovely art, printed on one side by our own Sam Manley, which came out very, very well. And it shows the streets of Uberjet, many of its very characterful individuals, and it's really, really nice for your players to be looking at while you hide your notes and dice behind it. And of course, on the other side, you'll find a whole host of charts,
Psychology?
No. Oh my god. Do we have to do 40K? I kind of want to do this.
I mean, I've been very blatant with the fact that I would prefer a Warhammer fantasy to sort of like dip my toes.
Oh yeah, no, of course we would start
Yeah.
with fantasy. Absolutely, we would.
Okay. Just because we always talk about 40K,
What, you got a problem with that?
No,
no. You got something to say, bitch boy?
Well, we talk about it all the time.
What?
God. It's just humans and then elves and then torture elves.
Not
and
if you fucking actually look at other things, my dude.
I know.
Anyway.
But Games Workshop only shows me 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
What else is there?
You know what? You're right. They do.
It's just Space Marines.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Sheets, really useful information, and some of the most looked up things that you will need are on here. Common conditions.
Down for a
You've
good
got
DM screen.
how to a quick reminder on how opposed tests and success level works, how advantage is gained and
Wish I had
lost.
reason to use them.
Several, most of the most common weapons, ranged and melee, as well as shields and armor types. Quick rules on just lots of things that you might need. There's also this very handy chart of names, common names of halflings, dwarves, elves, and humans in the Reichland, which is very,
There
very
you
handy.
go, everyone. Fucking
Someone did
names. That is something I have never seen on a DM screen like this.
Fuck, that's nice.
You know that Vince McMahon gif?
Yep. Yes, I know the exact one.
Of
Yep.
like him like panting. That's me right now.
Yeah. Oh my god. Why is it? Why? Ugh.
I know.
God, why
I
did it
know.
take this long for someone to make an RPG with that?
I know.
It's so useful. It's so good.
Because I know that I, as GM, often struggle to pull an appropriate name off the top of my head, along with some character traits, motivations, and quirk tables, which are very, very useful for quickly generating an NPC
That's on the
or
DM
to help out
screen.
your.
Yeah, this is honestly, not even having looked at it deeply, this is probably the best DM screen I've ever been shown.
Yeah, so far.
Easily.
Easily.
Yeah, holy shit.
Holy fuck, dude. Like,
Difficult.
oh man.
Players if they're having trouble coming up with a concept. So I really think this is a great addition for any GM. It's sturdy, it's strong, and it's a really, really nice tool. So I think you'll be running games with this for a long time to come if you pick it up. It's really great.
Okay.
Holy
Cubicle
shit.
7 games. That's the channel itself as well. It was Cubicle 7 Entertainment, but that's their product, dude, and that's a way to sell it to me, my man.
Yeah, holy shit.
Oh,
First, you
fuck.
start off with like really, really good, solid information and present it in a fantastic way. Then you show me the fucking physical shit that unfortunately I never really have a reason to use, but fuck, I want to buy it now.
Dude,
Yeah.
you could use it
Then
anyway.
you say, oh hey, by the way, here's drip.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but the thing, like, the only reason why I would probably still not use it is because fantasynamegenerator.com. That's the only reason.
It is very good for it, yeah. And it even has a Warhammer section, but
Yes.
man, it's still like
And
that.
also, I don't have a whole ton of space on my desk.
Well, I
I couldn't have the whole thing, unfortunately.
I have started to, well, not really started. I've done this for as long as I've DM'd. Is I fill out a town with the essential NPCs, like every shop owner, every this, every that. But like, if they're just walking up to someone on the street and they go, "You, what's your name?" The person is gonna be excuse me, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah, right?
And then while the person says, "Excuse me, what the fuck?" that gives me chance to look to the random NPCs, like names that I write out. And I'll just write out 7 or 8 random NPC names.
Yep.
And as I use them, I'll put in a little arrow, and on the other end will be like, person they met here doing this, said this.
That's fair. Yep.
Similar to what I do, but not quite the same. Because you do it a lot more on the fly. Because apparently your players are dicks and just ask everybody for names just to troll you. It seems.
I got asked who digs the outhouses in this city. Someone asked an NPC that, and the NPC turned and looked at him and went, "Fuck you." I don't know.
That's
What am
right.
I supposed to know?
Yeah, and that was both like the DM and the NPC speaking at that moment.
Yeah.
Like fuck you. What a ridiculous question.
Yeah, nobody cares. You don't care.
Yeah.
You know you don't care.
Why the fuck? Why would I care? That's you.
Dude, I'm a carpenter. Like,
Exactly.
what do you want from me?
Miscellaneous says, still waiting to build my Warhammer 40k army, not in this economy. Well, you know. Sorry, build up my Warhammer 401k. I like that. That's pretty good. I like that a lot. Steely says, what's your name? What do you think my name is?
I don't know, asshole. You tell me.
Pizza Fuck then says, player, what's your name, sir? NPC, fuck you. That's my name, bum. Yep. And then Miscellaneous then says, have y'all ever thought about making your own RPG or ever tried to make one before?
I was actually just talking with Aiden about
He
how...
was.
Yeah, like legit before we started. I was talking with Aiden about how I was thinking, again, about Warhammer Fantasy. And it wasn't going to be a full-on RPG, but basically kind of like a rules subset.
Oh, sure.
Where the campaign was going to be you're all playing as Skaven, obviously. And the thing was, you guys were going to be involved in the like Skaven Blight or Blight City, whatever it's called, politics.
Yep.
So your main characters would be the leaders of the clan, and you would be doing jobs and stuff for the other great clans. So say you had somebody who was like, I want to be a pack master and have like rat ogres and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Boo.
Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just gonna go get a couple Advil for this like blooming headache.
Oh, okay.
While you do your TTRPG thing.
Yeah, go for it. So say you have a guy who's like, I want to be a pack master. I want to get some giant rats. So then you would do jobs for Clan Molder.
Right.
And so what that would entail is you would send operatives to the surface through gnaw holes to complete missions and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And as you do missions and stuff and you gain reputation with the great clans, they'll be like, say you work with Clan Eshin a lot, the ninjas.
Yeah.
They're like, you guys have been doing really well. We'll let you hire out some night runners or gutter runners or something.
Sure.
So then if you chose to hire them, I would hand you a pre-gen gutter runner cheat.
Okay. Yeah.
So that way you're like, we need a mission and it's a heist. So let's use this gutter runner. You whip out the sheet and that is who you're going to be playing when you're out on the mission. Because,
cool.
You know, your main characters are back at the base and you're doing missions with the people that you've hired.
So it's a neat little hybrid of like management as well as the RPG kind of stuff.
Exactly.
I'm
with
cool
a lot
with
of
that, yeah.
politics, but also still lots of combat.
Yeah.
And it really lends itself to the Warhammer thing because if your character, like say you do a mission with that gutter runner and the gutter runner dies, well, that's just a gutter runner. Just go hire another one.
Yeah.
And also, if you do a mission, you could potentially find like artifacts or something that you could use you could give them to your agents. So that way you can still care about the agents because like, well, shit, he had this like sword of cow killing or something, you know?
Right, yeah.
And it's really good at killing beastmen, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was my idea. I wanted to come up with like charts and graphs and spreadsheets and all sorts of other words that relate to paper and with all the stats and tables for, you know, like progression with all the clans and what it unlocks and artifacts you could find and stuff. And it would basically just be you guys, you know, having effectively a criminal enterprise and just growing.
Yeah, no, that sounds sick.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to do. But again, I'm writing a fucking Cthulhu campaign right now, so that ain't happening for a long ass time.
Right.
If it ever happens, hopefully it will.
Yeah, I I've also thought about it. I've thought about creating my own RPG. I would just need to think about setting and races and gods and all that stuff, and like that sounds like fun to me. At some point, I'm really bad at getting down and like doing that shit though. I still haven't even written shit for my second continent, and that's been what, like 4 years in the making now at this point. I don't fucking know, and because I haven't touched it for so long. But it's one of those things where I do want to. That is one of the topics at some point that we would probably cover, is how to create your own RPG, because there are tons of videos on that too, right? Which I would love to get into and maybe see what they have to say about it and see what they recommend and such. Yeah. See if we could get any inspiration in that way of like both as creating RPGs, but also as like making rules and stuff and homebrews and all that kind of stuff, because all the things kind of blend together at some point. You can use certain things for other things. But yeah. And Aiden can answer your question later when he's back. But
he's done curing his headache.
Yes, once he feels a bit better because of the Advil. So we're at the midpoint. So we'll do that shout out and chill talk shit.
Emphasis on shit.
Yeah. So the stream, the podcast, the everything is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. And also lovely patrons, of course. You know them, you love them. This is interesting. Miscellaneous says, because if you did ever make one, I'd definitely buy it. Booze sounds pretty interesting.
Thank you.
Incentive. There you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, I appreciate the offer, but first it's Cthulhu, so you can buy that first.
That's true. He is making that, dude.
Yes.
Yes.
I've been writing it for nearly 2 years now, so don't worry. It is a thing that is happening.
It's coming.
The only reason why I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Because now he's offering me money, I have to tell him. The only reason why I have not yet actually really dived into it head first is because at the moment we are still playing the campaign that I'm running, Devils and Dice, and I don't want to write a full campaign while I'm running another campaign. I want to devote all of my mental energy to one thing at a time.
Absolutely.
So that way it becomes the best that it can be.
I return to you now.
Welcome.
At the turn of someone offering me money for my fucking Skaven idea, Aiden.
At the return of the Tide Pods.
Oh, hey, my power is flickering like a lot.
Podcast is over, but no.
Well, one of my screens just fucking died, so that's neat.
Oh,
yeah.
You never cut out a Discord.
Yeah, my screens are dying actively. In fact, we're having a slight power surge, so that's pretty cool.
Ooh, spooky.
OBS hasn't died.
Which is very strange.
Okay, anyway, if you can still hear me, hello. It still says that we're streaming, so I only have 2 screens now instead of 3. This sucks. But anyway.
Poor baby.
Dude, I need them all.
Do you have your PC in a surge protector?
Yes, I do have a surge protector thing, so. Okay, we're good. Okay, what the fuck? It moved everything. Oh, that's...
oh, God, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, it moved my, taskbar and everything. Yeah. But when I move my taskbar back, everything comes back to normal, so...
Oh, okay.
Okay, weird. Anyway, stream buffered right after Boo said bye. Yeah. So,
sorry.
Okay, well, we're back. The VOD version will have that slight moment. Anyway, so...
unprofessional.
I know, very much so. I once thought of trying to make a very gritty, real-world kind of RPG where the players are individual crew members of a tank in World War I. They would navigate the chaotic battlefield, struggling with their machines as much as with the enemy. I was thinking it would be called Landship, which was an early name for tanks. That would be sick.
That's fucking cool,
That
dude.
sounds awesome.
It does sound pretty sick.
Call it Kabulu. I don't know if I can make it compelling though. No, it sounds awesome, honestly.
No, that sounds like honestly, the concept alone is fucking sweet.
Yeah, no, that's sick. Anyway,
and
so,
then like a lot of the
dude,
sorry.
yeah, no, you're good.
A lot of the role play could happen with like the citizens of like the countries that are affected, like civilians and shit.
Yeah, like do some of this War of Mine shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, and you could like Google like what perception was of the war like in the countries.
Yes.
So like one country might be like, oh yeah, the war's alright, and another one is like, fuck you, you're ruining my crops.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the encouragement.
And how they felt
of
about
course,
the Americans
dude,
and stuff.
Of course.
Man.
Dude, all you need to do is find a set of like 4 or something 40-year-old men who are all going to be World War I nerds, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And you will be all set.
Well, not just that. Like, there's some people who like the people who do wargaming with like World War I and World War II and all that kind of stuff, like wargaming, because that's a popular one. You could really appeal to those guys, probably.
Yeah, because the game I believe is called Bolt Action.
Yeah, I think
so.
I think so.
That's the World War II.
Yeah, you can find a market for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go for it, Steely. Before somebody takes your idea.
Yeah.
Do it before I take your idea. I'm drawing plans right now.
Oh. Anyway, yeah, Aiden. Before I do the shoutouts and shit, have you ever thought about making your own RPG?
So what I have done is I've gone down a different tree, so to speak. Whereas some people go down the make your own RPG side, I'll take every single RPG I ever learn and combine it into one bastard RPG.
Fair.
Okay.
So I take Pathfinder's 2E's like Wounded and Dying.
Yep.
And I've implemented it into 5E.
Sure.
And like shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
piecemealing stuff together.
Yes.
What I do is less creation and more shameless consumption.
The ultimate consumer.
I am, dude. You thought the Tyranids were bad.
They are. Don't worry. But you're worse. I know I'm painting Carnifexes right now.
So
Again.
yeah, there you go. As I said before, thank you to our patrons. That is, of course, you know them, you love them. First up, we have Draco Kraken at that tier 3. Thank you. Mog Zero also at that tier 3. Thank you as well. Slazer, been in the chat. Thank you also for being at that tier 3. Steely, of course, our first and
Flipping tables.
Yes, our resident table flipper, in fact, at their tier 3. Thank you so much. Drake Cross at tier 2. Thank you as well. And then at tier 1 we have Chris, Frozen Spaghetti, Kill Chrono, and Polyhedral. Thank you to you all for your donations. You can, of course, if you would like, join the Patreon at whatever tier you wish, and only if you're financially able to and you want to. Please don't consider doing so unless you meet those 2 requirements, please. Think of yourself before us.
Or unless you're a child who happened to find their parents'
No, God, no.
Just remember to set us free. We need your parents' credit card number and the 3 wacky numbers on the back.
God,
no. Man!
Oh, I hate this. I hate it so. Anyway, yeah. So that's patreon.com/tabletalkdn.
That's the strongest response you've had to that before, Alejo.
Yeah, well, you know.
That was a bad one.
It's a building thing, you know.
Yeah.
Amish says, booze supplement sounds like a Darkest Dungeon TTRPG. Yeah, actually, in a way.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Is that what? I've never played Darkest Dungeon.
The Darkest Dungeon RPG was the one where I considered where you have to be guild masters.
Ah, yep. Then it would be pretty much, except
okay, cool.
change that to Skaven.
Yeah. Sick. Anyway, so yeah, thank you to our patrons. And also, of course, if you would like, there is the logo on shirts and other things over on TeePublic if you would like that.
Wait, we have merch?
Yes.
We've had merch for a while.
We've had merch since, like, a long while.
I might buy a TableTalk shirt sometime.
Oh my god! Hey!
I did not know we had merch.
Bro, I say it so often.
Merch for like the past 2 years, dude.
You think
Not
I
2 years,
listen to you?
That's fair. You know what? It is shout out and shield talk time. This is the time where people tune out. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. But yeah, if you go over on TeePublic, my dude, and search Table Talk, we
they high quality shirts?
According to Steely, he's bought some. Yes.
Oh my god.
So yeah, you can also get it on a mug. You can also get it on a fucking
something else.
A notebook.
Do we have dice bags?
No, I wish.
No.
I still have not found a place to supply those.
Okay.
At some point, I want to do that, and I want to get dice. That is definitely in the works.
Yes.
I've messaged a
Dude,
couple of
I would-
companies.
I would get a metal set of TableTalk dice.
Depending on if I could get that, maybe. That's the thing. Dice is kind of expensive. Haha.
Yeah.
Strange,
So, so it's a whole thing. I'm looking into it. Don't worry. I'm behind the scenes doing things all the time. Steely says, I got mine in green. It looks awesome. There you go.
Nice.
And Pizza Funk says, that logo is kind of complex. Would be a shame if someone oversimplified it with the double.
Oh no.
No. Don't do it. Anyway.
Oh god.
That's what I meant. It was supposed to be simple. No. Anyway, so if you want some of that, you can go over on TeePublic, and they have sales on occasions. Catch it during a sale, even if you want. It's pretty cool. And it supports us. It goes into the fund so that we can get more things.
No.
But yeah, so that's the thing.
I haven't
that's
seen
all
any
of
of that
those.
money. I've seen none of it. It all goes to Alejo.
No, it doesn't. It's
He's
all in
starving me.
No! Don't tell them that. That's bad.
I know. I'm just joking.
I know.
Alejo's embezzling my money.
Excuse me. Iris. Anyway, what if there were dice that were just tiny magic 8-balls that displayed a random number 1 through 20? Dude,
Oh, I would love that.
that'd be kind of awesome.
I
Actually,
would fucking love that. Actually,
Actually, yeah.
make that. Anyway,
make that us.
Yeah. Have it be a giant floating 8-ball with a D20 inside it that
Yeah.
is buoyant. So
Yeah.
when it hits up against the flat glass, whatever shape, it'll consolidate down to one number basically.
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
That would be
It's
amazing.
it's
I
a
would buy the
$100
shit out of
idea.
that.
I actually, well, it's probably not fair for me to say I would buy it because, of course, I would because I'm a dice goblin.
Because you're a fucking dice goblin, yeah. I would buy it.
Yeah,
It'd be
honestly,
sick.
I would like it. I would buy it just honestly for the novelty.
Yeah,
Hell,
it's
I've got
super-
insanity die.
True, that's true.
I have food dice as well.
That's right. I remember.
Oh,
Okay.
Next video.
So, let's move on to the next video. This is Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound is a superhero fantasy one-shot machine, cross swords, RPG review, and mechanics.
Okay.
This is brought to us by Dave Thomivore, which we have covered once, I think. Either that or I have a video of his on the docket at some point, sometime. But I believe we might have covered it once. So this is all about AOS, the RPG. This came out pretty recently. Let me actually find that. Just to see, like, in relation to the fantasy, 4th edition.
Yes.
Sigmar RPG release date. This one came out in 2020. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
December
the RPG
16th.
or the video?
The RPG.
Oh, okay.
Came out
very
in
new.
December 16th, 2020. So yeah, this is the newest version.
Very new.
And I think it was made by the same company as Fantasy. I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. We'll see if it's
We shall see.
if it's Cubicle 7. But anyway. Let me pull that up there. Okay. I don't like this little intro thing because it's like, haha, it's in your face. Hey, do the things.
Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound is a
Well,
tabletop
his
role
voice
playing
isn't
game
as
published
relaxing.
by Cubicle 7.
Hey,
Okay,
donate
it is Cubicle 7.
to patreon.com/tabletalk.
in 20. The title is quite a mouthful, so let me just start by breaking it down. Warhammer started off as a tabletop war game in 1983 by Games Workshop in
we
the
get
UK
big lore.
and has expanded over the years into novels, video games, and role-playing games. In 2015, in an effort to reinvigorate their core Warhammer wargame, Games Workshop launched Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar replaces the old Warhammer game, which had reached 8 editions, and now Warhammer Age of Sigmar acts as their flagship fantasy wargame. If you want the latest and greatest Warhammer miniatures and lore, at least at the time of this recording, it's going to be Warhammer Age of Sigmar stuff.
Except nobody likes Sigmarines. Haha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fuck him.
Yeah, because
Stormcast
as far as
Eternals.
I'm aware, the flagship series is by far 40K.
Oh, he said flagship fantasy.
Yes, flagship fantasy series specifically.
Okay.
Although they do still produce Lord of the Rings, if
Yes,
I
they do.
remember right. Yeah, so it's interesting that that's not more popular.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you'd be kind of hard pressed to find somebody who's playing a Lord of the Rings miniatures game as opposed to Warhammer.
True,
You know what I mean?
and that's fair enough. It's just interesting to me considering Lord of the Rings was like such a phenomenon, you know,
Yeah.
and it's still in culture, like in popular culture today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
So this is reviewing Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound, a 350-page tabletop RPG that fleshes out the Age of Sigmar universe with an eye on individual heroic adventure. Just a quick word about the sponsor for this video.
all right, he
Arknight.
is a sponsor. I don't care.
we don't care.
We then go to we go to back here.
Of Warhammer. If you look closely enough at any given aspect, there's a bottomless pit of detail and discussion. I'll just try to briefly summarize what it says in this book.
Please.
In the first age, the age of myth, the gods and the creatures of the mortal realm all lived in relative harmony. But then the god of chaos slipped into the mortal realm and caused war between the races of man, elf, Duardin, and some others. Thus, the age of myth ended. The gods themselves began to turn on each other, and their parliament of gods fell apart, leading to even more destruction. It's here in the story where Games Workshop killed off the so-called Old World, the original Warhammer setting, and the setting entered the Age of Chaos. This is where the god king Sigmar fled the mortal realms and locked the realm gates behind him. Sigmar, by the way, is one of the oldest gods and is always looking out for the mortals as best he can. He is a paragon of order in the war between order and chaos. So what Sigmar did after retreating to his home realm was build up an army of mortals and immortal beings. After many years, he launched a counterattack on the forces of chaos back in the mortal realms and managed to build up some gleaming new cities. But Nagash, the god of death, had been building up a sort of super weapon for thousands of years, and it sort of triggered accidentally, unleashing death magic across the realms. This event is called the Necroquake, where all the dead rose up and put the entire...
I love the word necroquake.
Yeah, I know. I was actually going to mention it after, like, you mentioned your point. Like, I was like, oh yeah, Alejo's going to mention something about like the art being sick as hell or
No,
something.
I mean that's also true.
And then I can like be like, yeah. And how about the word necroquake?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
necroquake is what stands out to me, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Sick as fuck.
Fun fact, it was triggered by Skaven.
Of course it was.
They
Of
snuck
course.
in and triggered it early.
He
'cause
did
they were
say
like,
it was an
"Hey,
accident,
What's the
yeah.
gas doing?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they fucked up.
Miscellaneous says, did you hear about the Lord of the Rings TV show that Amazon is planning? Yes.
Yes.
That's
No.
as far as I've gone with it.
And I haven't really. I like Lord of the Rings, but I haven't really cared about it at all since I was young. So
Sure.
just because I watched it when I was young, and then that was pretty much it.
Sure. As far as I know, it's going to cover a different age, which is good because if they
That's
did
good.
if they did the same story again, I'd be like, why?
Yeah, what's the point?
There would be no way that they could. Well, there would be very little chance that it could hold a candle.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird.
Yeah. So I'm glad it's going to be before or whatever. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah. Glad it's gonna be something.
New worlds at risk. Sigmar has very few options left at this point. One of them is an ancient order of warrior who is spiritually and bodily bound to each other in a small group, a group of, say, 3 to 5 players. Due to their binding, they heal faster, hit harder, and live forever as long as they don't die in battle. But they are sworn to fight the creeping
So then
death,
they'll
chaos,
live
and
like they'll have
destruction across the
average
realm.
life expectancy.
This
Yeah,
binding
I
of
was gonna say.
warriors are the soulbound, and you are one of them.
Night, pizza fuck.
Let's talk about
Good
quote
night.
unquote
Good
soulbound
night.
characters for a second, because I think it's one of the coolest features of the game's theme and mechanics, and I think it's appropriate that they named the whole game Soulbound. As a soulbound character, you are tied to everyone else in your party by a painful, sometimes deadly, but not for you, one-time ritual. This link amongst the party accomplishes a few neat things. One, it gives everyone a reason to work together, both in the meta and in the story. You're basically forced to skip the whole you meet in a tavern scene. 2, it rationalizes the group's meta currency that you all share, which I'll explain later. And 3, it explains your superhero status and power. So about that, this game is about teams of champions. It starts high level and it ends there. There's no slow building up a character's skills and attributes across sessions here. Let's look at the character creation step by step to see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay.
1, choose your archetype. There are 23 archetypes in the book, and you
Goddamn.
determine your species, of which there are 5. The 5 species are humans, Stormcast Eternals, who are, quote, forged from mortal
Or
People that-
Sigmarines.
Yeah, I was going to say Sigmarines that no one's going to play. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, nobody wants them.
souls, alloyed with the celestial energies of the cosmic storm, and beaten into the living weapons of Azir upon the anvil of apotheosis. They look like humans, but can be up to 9 feet tall. They are in many ways like an analog to the
actually,
highly engineered
okay.
Space
Yeah.
Marines in the Warhammer 40k setting. They are the poster child army for the Age of Sigmar brand. Then there are the elf. They're like elves. Rare,
No shit.
arrogant, elegant, pointy-eared. The Dwarden are a stout dwarven race who are masters of metal and stone, but often quite a lot more, like steampunk tech and golden fire runes. The Sylvaneth are like the Kroot in the Warhammer fantasy setting.
Okay, there we go,
That's not to
finally.
be confused with Groot, or maybe it is.
You
get a mechanical
No.
Oh, can you play the Ideneth Deepkin? That's fucking cool.
Wait, no, they are not like the Kroot. The Kroot are bird people.
Yeah.
The Kroot are whatever they want to be, actually, because of how they evolve. When they eat something, they can become it, basically.
Oh.
They can take on aspects of
Yeah.
it. Like they can't overhaul themselves.
No,
like,
but they aren't just birds. Like they're whatever they want to make themselves into, basically.
to be fair, they're really not. They're only birds insofar as like jackals from Halo are birds. It's yeah. They're quilly sometimes.
Okay.
Usually.
So
Gotcha. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, they
so
are
that-
quilly. Yeah, usually.
that's
When
my
they pick
first big disappointment with this
Hmm.
is that there's 3 races: humans, dwarves, and elves. That's
Well,
it.
and the other thing.
The Sylvaneth are also elves, though.
Oh. Well.
They are part of the elf faction, effectively.
Okay. Right.
That's the problem. Now, I like that you can be the Ideneth Deepkin. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. Explain. I don't know what that means.
The Ideneth Deepkin are deep sea elves, and they ride around
Oh.
on magical floating fucking giant eels and sharks and giant turtles that they mount ballistas to.
Sick. Oh, those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So hang on. Are you looking at an image right now?
No, but I know the image. Like I've seen the model actually.
Oh, okay.
If
Yeah.
you could share
Yeah,
the
here,
image
I'll go
with
ahead.
me.
I will put it in the Discord. Where should I put it? Just in TableTalk?
The group
Yeah.
chat, just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
confuse Brogan.
Yeah, do
Okay.
it to that one.
That.
Yeah.
So they have giant fuck off turtles. They ride around on eels and sharks, and it's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, I like the ones that are riding on the shark.
Mhm.
Oh, they got like a 6-limbed sea turtle. Fuck
Oh,
yeah.
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 So
They're
yeah,
called leviathans.
Yeah. So Miscellaneous says, this probably isn't even possible. What about a tiny firework die that explode into a random number, but then you run out of them really fast? That's true. That's how they get
fucking
you.
sweet, dude. Could you imagine if they packaged them in those little, like those little fireworks that you just yeet onto the ground and they pop?
Yeah.
Be like that. That'd be
Yeah,
sick.
Yeah,
yeah.
snappers.
Yeah.
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 No Seraph?
Once Games Workshop starts selling dice.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You have to buy
Well, I
them
mean,
every
sometimes
day.
they do.
Steely says no Seraphon. Sadness. I know.
I know.
Yeah. No
That's another thing I'm
lizards.
mad about.
No lizardman. Never get
There's
any
no lizardman.
love.
Lizard what?
Yeah.
Depending on your species, but again, you don't necessarily choose your species directly. You choose your archetype. Each of the 23 archetypes comes with starting core attributes and a core skill, talents, and equipment. There's another cross-section here called factions, which is species specific. You see this same phenomenon in the Warhammer Wrath and Glory RPG. All this faction stuff makes perfect sense if you're familiar with the war game.
Yeah.
But if you're coming into it fresh, this faction stuff will take a minute to fully absorb. And by minute, I mean hours of reading. Just in case you were wondering, this is the faction list from the underlying Age of Sigmar war game, listed under the 4 armies of Order, Chaos, Death, and Destruction. At the time of Soulbound's release and this recording, the war game is in its 2nd edition. You can see at a glance that this RPG allows you to play only from within the army of Order, who are more or less the good guys of the setting. The archetypes themselves are cool.
Know the
They all
Maggotkin
have-
of I did not know the Maggotkin of Nurgle were a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maggot
But-
are
It's the
in
same-
both settings. Yep.
Yeah, it's basically they are the demons of Nurgle.
Yep. That's it.
very exotic names, and there's a lot of flavor text to each one that firmly couches it into the setting. Yet, due to the simplicity of the game's rules, each archetype fits on a single page. 2. Determine your attributes. This game's mechanics are pretty simple. It's a D6 dice pool, and you only have 3 core attributes, mind, body, and soul, which range from 1 to 8. These 3 numbers determine a bunch of secondary attributes. The number itself represents the number of D6s that you'll throw on a related test. 3. Sort your skills and talents. Each archetype has starting skills and talents. If you have any training points in that skill, then you add that many D6s to a related test. If you have any focus
Crafting is a skill.
points in a skill, then add that many points to a die result.
good.
Talents are special features that affect the mechanics of your character in one way or another. Divine magic in this game, or miracles, are treated as talents. If you have the blessed talent, you can pick from 5 universal miracles and 25 god-specific miracles, depending on which god your
25?
blessed talent is affiliated
Yeah.
with. 4. Choose your equipment. Your chosen archetype will guide you on this. The equipment section of the book is not very exotic or creative at first. Then it hits you with this crazy cool section on Caradron equipment, sort of like dwarven machines that run on so-called ether gold. I will say it's kind of sad to see so many interesting weapons and items limited to just a few archetypes. There are also Fire Slayer runes, another class of items, if you want to call them that empower 3 other Dwarden archetypes. Another interesting aspect of equipment is the game's currency. Instead of coin, your character has a liquid called Aqua Giranus, a sort of life-giving water that can purify land or heal wounds, as well as be traded for goods. 5. Add detail.
I can, okay. So this is going like it
Real
feels
fast.
breakneck, but it's not. That's the thing. he's just going from one point to another without stopping. So I like the idea of having a resource that is both your like
currency
healing
and health.
Yeah, exactly. It can be for healing, it can be for currency, or it could be for using as like something to heal the land, quote unquote, or whatever. It is something that is finite.
Yes.
And can be spent in other ways other than trade, which is cool.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous says cans of boba tea where you'd have to drink the whole can to see the one single boba at the bottom in the shape of a number. Alright, now it's getting the weird stuff. Anyway.
The book provides a decent number of sample names for each species and faction. It's here that I'd like to address the elephant in the room. I am mispronouncing all of these names. I don't know if anyone on the internet knows how to pronounce all this stuff. There's no pronunciation guide in the book, but maybe one day Cubicle 7 can set the record straight somewhere. 6. Sort out your...
Basically, you just wait until GW puts out a video that says the name, and that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
But even at that point, when they say Abaddon, I go, no, it's Abaddon.
Abaddon.
Yeah, it's Abaddon.
Thank you.
Yeah, because Abaddon is the name of the actual demon. That
right,
is,
exactly.
named after.
Abaddon's cool. Like Abaddon's like, all right,
wrong.
Yeah, just wrong.
So I hear the boba tea comment, and I think instead a set of like, let's say like 80 nips of whiskey or fireball or what have you, and you unscrew the cap, drink the contents, and turn the cap over, and that's your number.
Oh Jesus. Do you want to die tonight? Here you go.
That's the goal.
Oh no.
Party.
Try rolling
or bind.
Try rolling death saving throws with that.
Oh no.
Binding is write down some short-term goals as well as some long-term goals. These actually have some mechanical bearing on the game because there are hard rewards for achieving these goals. It's also really nice on the role-playing side of things for the table to have some concrete goals. Since your characters start off super amped up, most likely for a one-shot or suicide mission of some sort, there's no point in just trying to accumulate wealth. This system of goals is the perfect solution and does make things a lot more interesting.
Sure.
7. Bring your character to life. The book provides 10 questions that a player can answer to flesh out their character. 8. Put on the finishing touches.
Okay.
I would have liked to see those questions.
I was gonna say, we're just gonna say that there are questions and not show even an example. Okay.
Yeah, I would have liked to see those.
Very cool. I mean, it is guideline questions, to be fair. I could probably think of a couple off the top of my head, right? But at the same time, I would like to see what their flavor is for it.
Yeah.
Calculate all the secondary attributes. I'm not going to go over each of these specifically because this video is already going too long, but needless to say, they are all...
I
understand you hate it, Alejo.
Every time.
related to combat, and they are pretty straightforward mechanics-wise. As far as leveling up in this game, the system is simple and small in scope. You can only level a skill up to 3, meaning 3 extra dice on a check, and core attributes themselves only go up to 8. Combat is surprisingly streamlined for a game inspired by a war game with crunchy and complicated battle rules. First of all, the default rules in Soulbound don't use distances, they use zones. Zones are just arbitrarily drawn areas of a scene meant to simplify combat and keep things moving along.
Man, I love the term arbitrary. Man.
Okay, so basically... yeah, it's a zone. So instead of having a bow that has a 30-foot range, you have a bow that can fire 2 zones away.
Right, yeah.
So then you just draw the zone, and then you better hope that you're not a gerrymanderer.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Brand new tabletop dog food. Feed it to your dog and they'll throw up numbers. Nice. RPG farm.
The Poggers Doggers?
The Poggers Doggers.
That was something we established before.
Yeah, that's right. RPG farmed bees. Let them sting you and the bump will be a number. There you go.
Ugh. What if you're allergic and you die?
Well, don't buy them.
Then
I guess.
it looks like you rolled a nat 1.
Mm.
That's like what's that type of fortune telling called? It's not a peller. Like you kill a small animal and then it
starts with an H.
Haruspex?
No, that's
No, that's a people.
Yeah, no.
That's a tyrannid.
Haruspice? I know it's fuck. Haruspice. Yeah. Compare Haruspec. Wait, no, I'm right.
What?
Yeah. Haruspec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the livers of sacrificed sheep and poultry.
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess I stole that name.
Fucking.
Well, I mean, I did.
If they sting you and you die, that's a -3 to your roll. That's true. But yeah,
that's a crit fail.
But yeah, zones, huh? I guess you can move a certain amount of zones per turn. I don't know. That sounds.
Yeah, but then you're starting to throw, physics out the window, and it's a little. I don't like them.
It's a little weird because it's like, hey, what if I want to move inside of the zone? Is that also accounted for?
I should hope.
I would hope so. That's the thing.
What if I want to move inside a zone and move out?
Yeah.
And then what happens if I am on the exact edge of Zone 1 and Zone 2, and I want to fire into Zone 5?
Yeah.
So does that count as 2 zones or 1 zone or what?
Yeah, just do ranges, my man.
Range is way better.
It's way easier to do, I feel.
Yeah.
If you want to attack something with melee, you have to be in the same zone. And for each turn, you can move anywhere in a zone or to another zone plus 1 action. To attack, you are usually either using your melee rating with your body weapon skill rating, or your accuracy rating with your body ballistic skill.
Sure.
Let's say my hag priestess wants to slash a maw crusher with her sacrificial blade. She's got a melee rating of good versus the maw crusher's defense rating of great. You have to refer to the almighty ladder to see how far removed one rating is from the other. My hag is good, the wyvern is great, so that's 1 step lower, which means the difficulty number or target at which my dice need to hit or be above is 5.
So basically, this is almost exactly like the tabletop gaming.
Yeah,
because
it's very much like the war game.
Yeah, it's exactly like strength and toughness on the tabletop. So I mean, so you still have a lot of that crunch then.
Yeah,
seemingly.
But you get a lot less attacks and stuff, so maybe technically less, I guess.
The priestess has the attribute of 2 and a weapon skill of 2, which means we roll 4 dice.
Oh,
What's
no,
interesting
I'm
here
wrong.
is that the dice roll.
It is the war game, but made RPG. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which, I mean, that's fair, but
yeah. No, that's fine. I just would rather, I don't know, maybe play the game.
Yeah, I'd rather just play
play the war game. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd rather just play the war game.
Again, with something like fantasy, you have everything is the D100, and it has degrees of success in that case, which is a little easier to do than just rolling 6 dice, and you have to calculate whether or not it's great or good, and which one's gonna work that way. Like, it feels a lot more complicated here, and it might not be. Like, that's the thing. It might not be, and I'm totally willing to be wrong. But for fantasy itself, it's very easy to just roll and see, oh, okay, I'm good, against their roll, and they go, oh, I'm good, right?
Yeah, because it's a roll against a roll, not a roll against a stat, and then another roll,
Right. This guy's doing okay, but he really suffers from coming after the previous video, which was fire. True.
Yeah, it's true.
But that's also Age of Sigmar coming after Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Serve as both the to hit check as well as the damage roll. So with a DN of 5, this roll has 4 successes. But before I count that as 4 damage, I have to subtract the target's armor. The Maw Crusher has 3 armor, which negates 3 of the 4 damage that she landed. That 1 damage that she did is subtracted from the enemy's toughness, which happens to start at 20 in this case. That's basically how combat works, but things do get more complex with the meta currency. I'm not sure where the tradition started, but Cubicle 7 game designers love meta currency. In this game, there is metal, which is a fast spending and fast replenishing pool that each PC has. You can do the following things with it. Metal is pretty crazy and is a large contributor to why Soulbound is so over the top and feels like a superhero game. But then there's Soulfire. Soulfire is a point pool shared by the party, and you don't get that many. Any one player can spend one, and the effect is pretty extreme in most cases. Recovering Soulfire points is relatively difficult, but it can't be overstated that these points are extremely powerful. By default, the party or binding starts with as many Soulfire points as there are PCs, minus anyone who's a Stormcast Eternal. The GM can also increase a party's max Soulfire
Eternals.
pool and replenish Soulfire points for basically any reason. There's also a Doom track that gets ticked up and down for various
I was gonna say, it sounds a lot like, because I've been listening to a Wrath and Glory playthrough for 40k, and with Wrath and Glory they have Wrath and Glory,
okay.
thus being things that you can spend, where Wrath is something you can use to reroll, and you use that before Glory, but when you get like a crit, you can gain Glory, and that is used as additional die to roll for successes, right? And then Wrath can also be used to, I think, take narrative actions, like try to, have certain things happen in the story, because it's a very narrative-driven game, even though it has a lot of combat and stuff. And it seems like a lot of fun. But yeah, it seems a lot similar to that. Like, I think he said that before. He was talking about Wrath and Glory before. And so now I can see it.
reasons. When a player spins Soulfire against the wishes of their party. Doom is a pretty squishy concept where the GM is supposed to increase the gloominess of the environment and maybe the toughness or frequency of the enemies as Doom increases. There are a number of specific named activities that a PC can.
So if it's something that's against the party, I guess it's only when the character does something that the character would do and the party wouldn't like, because usually with a shared resource, we usually talk about when we're going to use a shared resource and then go, is it everybody okay if I use this?
Unless you have a dick player.
Right. In that case, it's like, well, then that guy's just a dick.
Yeah.
Then you have a problem at your table, usually.
Yeah, then you're not playing, then you wouldn't play with him.
Right.
I'm the dick DM that likes to encourage that. Like, if I learn that some of my players are screwing over the party so that they personally can succeed, I'm like, hell yes.
Well, sure. You can have that be a aspect of conflict between the parties, sure. But like with a shared resource like that, it usually feels weird to just, considering it's everyone's, to just take it. I don't know. Yeah. And then like do something against everybody. It's like it's a shared thing, dude. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, And I would have liked it if he said how you could get it back, because I was under the impression in the beginning that it was going to be similar to like hero points in Pathfinder, where you just get them at the beginning of a session.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder if it is something like a crit does give it back, because it feels like that could be the case or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can partake in during downtime, some that require rolls of the dice and others that are more roleplay based. Participating in any of these activities
create spell. Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is
train companion
magic weapon
shopping
weaving.
Is a fucking
it's because this is all downtime stuff, because this is pure, like, this feels like a lot of combat, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Feels like it's you have downtime in between your bouts of combat, because again, you are Eternals that are made for killing things.
Yeah.
Or Soulbound, excuse me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Advantage PCs ranging from reducing the Doom level to gaining new spells to increasing certain skill ratings. When you consider all the cool things that the PC can get from these downtime endeavors, it would be a crime for any GM to skip over them and merely go from encounter to encounter. You cast spells in this game by throwing a mind channeling test, which means you take your core mind attribute.
Okay. It's a crime.
You just jump straight into it.
I was gonna say, it's a crime to not do it. It's like, Well, what if they don't want to? It's fine.
Yeah.
Just let them.
Yeah.
You guys ever just play an RPG off the top of your head with nothing but dice? I have done that once. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was actually in college. Brogan was like, "Hey, I have a D20. Let's just hang out and do stuff."
Nice.
I was like, "Okay."
And I've never done it on RPG with just dice, but we did make that game in tabletop, that dice game.
Yeah.
Where we just took a shitload of dice and put them in a little we put them in one of the little concealed spots on the table, and we would just roll them by mashing R, just making them roll straight up, and then they drop into the thing where you can't see them.
Yeah.
And we would play by just mousing over a dice that we couldn't see, picking it up and pulling it out, and we would just get points based on the number that was on. And we'd have all different kinds of dice, D4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 20.
Neat.
Well, that was fun.
I wish I had been around when Brogan did the RPG thing. That sounds fun.
I think we only did it one time. But yeah, I don't know. It was just one night at some point. Maybe you were out doing something or something. I don't remember.
Number, points you have in the channeling skill, and throw that many d6s. Your target number of successes depends on the spell. So for example, the Amber Spear's difficulty number is 5-2. That means it's a success if you get 5 or higher on the die, and you need 2 successes. If you roll up extra successes, it's called an overcast, and each spell has specific overcast effects.
Okay.
If you fail the casting roll, you have to roll on the price of failure table, which punishes you more depending on how badly you fail.
Perils of the warp.
You basically either take damage, lose a turn, or if it's really bad, lose all your hit points, gain a mortal wound, and summon a raging chaotic force called an endless spell that appears in your zone. I think it's worth noting here that this is a critical mechanic in the game in terms of theme and feel. Basically, magic is dangerous, even though you are a super champ PC right out of the gate. A spell could backfire and kill you instantly, because it's Warhammer after all. The world is dark and magic is dangerous. There are 10 simple general
That'd be
spells.
a fun way to go out session 1.
Yeah. I cast Spear. Oh, it just immediately explodes my body.
Yeah, I cast, like, I don't know, the weakest shit possible.
Yep.
Boom, dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'd be funny.
Yeah, it would be funny.
What's that, Warlock? You Eldritch Blast? No, you don't.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
you Eldritch Blast, but let's see how...
Eldritch Blast yourself.
Yeah.
Each of the lores of magic. The whole setting of Age of Sigmar is broken into 8 realms, and the 8 lores correspond thematically to these realms. This is a straight port from the Warhammer fantasy roleplay setting, where most of the magic is allegedly derived from 8 colors, or rather, magic forces embodied by 8 different colors.
Sure.
So I personally found the most fun and interesting part of this book was the lore section.
He just doesn't stop.
The beginning of the book paints the setting with some very broad strokes that are frankly a bit confusing for a nerd like mine.
How he's provided like new bits of art at each point is appreciated.
Yeah.
I just am desperate for him to go, okay, so that was a lot. Here's what I mean when I say that.
A lot of it's going over my head.
An example.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going so fast, I can't absorb anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I
don't remember anything from the beginning of the video.
I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I am not going to have held any of this.
Yeah. I would, because a couple of these things, I'm gonna remember zones because we talked about it. Yeah. I'm gonna remember some of the how this feels more complicated, just because we talked about it, right?
I'm gonna remember that it's very similar in combat to the tabletop war game.
Yep, because we talked about it.
Yeah.
Myself, but then in the setting section of the book, they zoom in and actually explain everything. As the story goes, there used to be one world, and it was where the last Warhammer setting took place. It basically blew up and scattered magical world seeds that sprouted into 8 spheres or realms. These realms are described as infinite, so we're talking about lofty, epic scales here. Each of the realms embodies a certain theme and type of magic. Azir is the only realm not dominated by the forces of chaos and the undead, but the god Sigmar continues to try and change that, hopefully with the help of your PCs in this game.
Okay, wait
The
a minute,
book
hang
goes
on.
all in.
Yeah.
Go back just a touch. Like, okay, War, BT, Order, and Chaos rages
Between.
on. Can you not just type between?
No, God, no. There's not enough space. What do you mean?
Ooh, okay, good. Thank God you also think that's just as stupid as I do. What the fuck?
No, there's no space. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
Look at all this real estate. It's being taken up. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. There's no free real estate at all. Aiden, help! What the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway, go on. This is pet peeve.
Even endless spells are a thing from the AOS war game. That
Yes,
makes
they are.
sense. Yeah.
But the thing is,
Oh, yeah, we
they're
were
not
talking about
chaotic. You could just cast them,
Right, yeah. We were talking
and
about
they
that.
still work for you. So, like,
you could probably still cast them in this, but it's like that feedback of like, oh, you cast something and you accidentally made one, but it's not under your control.
yeah,
Like, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just hope that they're not just a negative thing, because they're
True.
seriously not.
Yeah. Don't know. Honestly.
To try and change,
Who knows?
hopefully with the help of your PCs in this game. The book goes all in, describing life in the realms, safety, survival, entertainment.
That's good.
And then it dedicates 2 pages to each of the realms separately. It's a fun read and probably a must-read for hardcore Sigmar fans. Oh, and all of the realms are interconnected by realm gates, which are mysterious magical portals, large and small, that are kind of anywhere the GM wants one.
Cool,
Most
where
of
are
the
my
realm
skinks?
gates have been hacked and will lead to the realm of chaos, a 9th realm, which serves as the source of chaos powers.
Right.
All the jumping through realm gates and traveling from plane to infinite plane is definitely a major feature of the theme of this game. This is the highest of high fantasy. There's this one continent in the realm of
Highest of
Akshi,
high
the realm of
fantasy.
fire, called the Great
guess,
Parch.
sure.
This stretch of land has seen a number of the milestone events of the setting and acts as a kind of setting all its own. It's treated with extreme detail and has its own section in the book with everything you could ever want to know about the place. Since it's all fleshed out, it's a good place to have your one-shot or to start your campaign. The setting takes its gods very seriously, since the gods are like the field generals in this vast, sprawling war of order versus chaos. The section on religion doesn't have a drop of game mechanics, but seems like an extremely important thing to read. It details 14 gods, most of them sitting on the evil side of the spectrum. It's a pretty dark pantheon. This game's creators tap directly into the Age of Sigmar war games treasure chest of factions, and stat out much of what you would see on any war game table.
Skaven, yay!
There are essentially 6 types of creatures in the bestiary, cross-divided into 5 categories of power. Most are statted with some fearsome attacks. You're not going to see as much battlefield synergy with these creatures as you would in the war games, such as area buffs and the like, but you'll find a huge range of enemies in terms of ferocity and ability, as well as just visual variety.
It's a great unclean one.
Okay,
Whoa.
so here are my thoughts
And
on
to keep our
Warhammer,
secrets, I
Age of
think.
Sigmar, Soulbound. Cons. Already leveled up. There's really almost nowhere to go for the players. in
Even
terms
though
of
there's a
improving this
whole
character
section
and
on
power.
leveling up.
If you
Yeah, like
You already.
So first off, I understand what he means.
Yeah.
Right. Because I also was like in the beginning when he was like, "Oh, you're already super powered." I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So like, but like you can still progress, which is fine. And again, if like you definitely like it's definitely for the if you want that kind of a setting, sure. And like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just definitely one of those things where I'm like, okay, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like trying to dredge my way up, which is why fantasy appeals so much more to me.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Because this is like, this feels like, not exactly, but it feels kind of like what I would imagine like Valhalla would be, you know, of like endless fighting against these things, but not like in the same exact sense, because Valhalla is like you're fighting against like fellow heroes and shit, and you're just like, having
where
a
it's
great
just
time.
a tournament of, hey, we're
Yeah.
all awesome. Let's fight for fun.
Right, exactly. But this is like weird in the sense of like, oh no, you're always fighting because gods are like, fuck it, we're coming down and fighting
Yeah.
with everything. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fair
the
enough.
tone is a little bit weird.
Yeah, it feels a little far off from what I expect.
Yeah.
But then again, I am more familiar with fantasy than I am Sigmar, you know?
Yes.
where the gods exist, but they aren't exactly always
they're not going to come
manifesting.
bash down your door,
Right,
FBI open up.
Yeah, you can't, like, maybe look across the entire world and maybe see the battle between Sigmar and fucking Nurgle, like...
That'd be fucking sweet.
It'd be sick, but it also doesn't fit for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, that's just a personal thing. But
yeah,
definitely with the already leveled up thing, like I can see where he's going with that, and I'm like,
Yeah. I guess if the whole setting is built around that fact, it doesn't really bother me all that much.
That's fair, yeah. It would probably feel fine in the game.
Yeah.
I'd be like interested in what a more episodic campaign, like this is your villain of the week, here are your heroes of the week.
Yeah, okay.
Sort of like jumping all around the continent and jumping all around into these stories of these heroes trying to quell this great evil. And then from there, based on these the degree of success that the party has, making a story from there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd
be a lot more
sick. It just becomes its own mythology in a way,
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I like that idea. That appeals to me way more than actually like role playing in this.
No, I mean,
Look at the starting skills and abilities, then look at the rate of progression. PCs are already superheroes. And that's cool, I guess. It makes for the perfect one-shot. I would suggest that if you wanted to run a longer running campaign with this book, look in the GM toolkit section of the book on ways to tone down the power levels. It should be doable. Names.
Okay.
The game is wildly
Oh my
creative
god,
and
really?
is born of a huge IP with a...
My dude, okay. A con for a system shouldn't be I can't pronounce names.
Yeah, that's Jesus
I don't
Christ.
know about that, my man. That's not a fair criticism.
That is completely negligible.
Yeah.
Be creative, my guy.
Yeah, just like legitimately people pronounce things different ways, and if it's a made up fucking word in a made up fucking language, nobody cares.
Yeah.
You're on the internet.
Don't be concerned
I was gonna say.
you didn't pronounce that elf's name correctly.
Exactly. Like somebody will care, but they are complete. Like you don't have to pay attention to them at all.
Not to mention, the thing is, a lot of the names were created by English speakers, so there's not really a whole lot of change to the pronunciation most times.
It's also true.
Like if you look at Nagash, it looks like it's spelled. It is spelled Nagash, and it sounds like Nagash. Phonetic. It's not Nagash. It's Nagash.
It's definitely phonetic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to pronounce that shit. Now, you could probably have a little bit of issue with the elf names just because they're complicated sounding, but once you say it out enough, you'll get it.
Yeah. And again, it's just pick something and just go with it,
Yeah.
And somebody corrects you and you go, oh, that sounds better, then you do that, Like it does. You don't have to like close your mind off and go, fuck it, this is how I pronounce it. You can like change later.
Yeah.
It's crazy, I know, but
a lot of great behind it, but still it would be cool to have a pronunciation guide in the book. This seems kind of petty, but I think overly exotic names can really deter new players and GMs who might already be overwhelmed by a deep setting. Pros: deep, high fantasy setting. The 14 gods all at each other's throats.
Never mind.
9 distinct realms, swirling in colorful magics, and just the crazy cool factions all starting at epic level. It's just fun. I personally go for the low magic stuff myself, but seeing high fantasy done this well is pretty inspiring.
Sure.
Best in class artwork. The illustrations shown in this video all
it looks great.
Right.
It looks great.
It's good artwork, but that's not a pro of the game system.
Yeah.
So, I have two thoughts. The first of which is you say, like, it's a fun setting. That's subjective. It's fun for you.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, the setting has cool artwork. Literally have that have an equally skilled artist or even the same artist move to D&D or Pathfinder 2e, and they will make like wicked cool art of that.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. If you have this artist make art for thirsty sword lesbians, I'm still not going to want to fucking play it. Art doesn't mean shit.
I
It looks
would,
nice.
I would still want to play it regardless.
I know,
because
me too.
I was gonna say.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
know.
such a shit show. I need to know.
Yeah, no, I know, but that it's for-
Yeah, no, I you're right. Like, and again, like, I think his pro of the setting being expansive and in depth is a good pro, because yes, that is a part of it, and yes, that works for it being a pro for this. But yeah, like, art, really? You've come up with two.
Yeah.
You come up with 2 cons, and now I assume you're only going to come up with 2 pros. And this is your pro, my guy.
Yeah, this is it.
I guess honestly, this matches up because he made his petty con of something that doesn't matter, and he's making his petty fucking pro of something that doesn't matter.
It's very true.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
From the book and that's for itself. The visuals really sell the fantasy here. Rules are straightforward.
Oh, 3!
This game is
my
low
God.
crunch. There's still some complexity when it comes to skills and some of the spells, but on the
Oh, they do
whole,
have
the
called
mechanics
shots.
are just very
Yeah.
approachable. All the minis. I've said this about other Warhammer RPGs.
Okay, you know what? Fair enough.
The
That's
minis
fair.
aren't a part of the game. Like, that's
I know,
this is
but
not
they are-
necessary.
However, they are at least available.
They're available, sure, but you don't need them.
Oh,
at all.
absolutely. Yeah,
But-
no, not at all.
Like, this is not something that should be in a part of the pro. I don't know. It's like, it is not made for this. It is made for the war game, right?
Yeah, I
First and
suppose so, but
foremost.
yeah, I guess I just hadn't really thought of that.
Yeah, like,
Because it
again,
does sound nice, having
Yeah,
all the minis available.
and
but-
I won't deny it is a good thing to have. Absolutely, if you want to have tactical, actual combat like in front of you, you can use that. Absolutely, but I wouldn't
know what the
describe
other-
it to the setting.
You know what the other
Or-
funny
or
thing
the
is?
rule set. Excuse me. Yeah,
with having zones,
yeah,
there's not really much point in having a mini.
yeah.
Not
I know.
really, because
It really
minis are
isn't.
more things where you're moving them from square to square to know exactly where you are. If you abstract ranges and squares down to just zones, you don't need as much.
No, because you can go to anybody in a zone to attack them. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And you can move into another zone plus an action. So like that's your movement options. If I just want to move towards a guy, I just have to be in the zone and say I move towards him, and then I'm there, right? Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Mhm.
So
Unless
I
you're
don't
playing
need
a
this.
witch elf.
Right, of course. But there's no need for me to see precise things. So the minis again don't matter.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I just like that he put up the Ossiarch Bone Reapers on there.
Of course, the minis are fucking superb.
Yeah.
Oh,
that I've reviewed, and I'll say it again. The minis. Yeah, they're Games Workshop, so they're pricey, but they are exactly what's in the book. And what's in the book is some
almost
very
like it's
unique,
made
wicked
based
stuff.
off 'em.
I guess in a nutshell, this game is beautiful and playable and designed for fast, bright burning.
Don't. Okay, it's beautiful and playable. Wow.
Yeah,
Most.
your game is playable.
Most.
Stellar review, man.
Most, if not all.
In one shot. You're going to have to get under the hood and reconnect a bunch of wires to get it to play like Warhammer Fantasy or something toned down and extended across lots of sessions though. Also, the setting lore runs deep. This is a blessing and a curse. If you and the folks at your table are already read in or are willing to put in a little bit of time to read, then it's awesome. If not, then you can still play the game, but you will be bypassing one of its marquee features, the setting itself. And if you really want to fry your brain on Age of Sigmar lore, pick up one of the Wargames so-called battle tomes. They're full of the same awesome art and layout, but have more lore on any given faction than could even be considered healthy.
Okay, so I'm okay with you promoting another product that is a supplement to it, but this is not a supplement to the RPG necessarily. This is specifically made for the game of Age of Sigmar, not Age of Sigmar Soulbound.
Yes. Is
I will
made
say
for
that art is beautiful.
The art is fucking great.
Absolutely.
Oh,
It's amazing in all of them.
I love the art.
it's not reflective of the RPG.
Exactly. There's the only connection is name of the Age of Sigmar, right? Like that is the only connection we have here. Yes, it goes into more depth about other things, but I wouldn't say, hey, if you want to know more about D&D, go read the books.
Yeah, right.
Like I don't think that's necessary, because you can, like, in the sense of the stories, the actual like written things like that, not the supplements. I would tell people to read into the supplements and see what they can find in that if they need to run the game more, because that stuff has information about the setting that you can use that you would need. Considering Sword Coast Adventures guide, the long forgotten bastard child of Wizards of the Coast, has so much in it about the Forgotten Realms. You want to know about the Forgotten Realms? Go pick that up, and it also has stuff for the D&D as a whole, as the game, right? Like that itself helps with the setting, helps with the rules, is a part of the rule books. Like that is something that I would say to get. Whereas this seems to, like, this is a bunch of stuff that you probably might want to know, but again, it's outside of the game.
Yes.
It's like, it's also like, you know, I'm watching a movie, oh, you gotta read this book in order to know about the movie, and it's like, no, I don't. What the fuck? Yeah. No.
You know, hey, you guys are excited about Rise of the Jedi, right? You should probably go play Fortnite so you can figure out what Palpatine said.
Oh my god, don't remind me.
Yeah, right?
Oh, the fact that that's real, it's not a joke.
That was real.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke, it's real.
And did you guys see Thanos in Fortnite?
Yeah, that's also true. Although thankfully that wasn't fucking.
That wasn't actual information. He was.
That wasn't actual.
Yeah, he was just in it.
He was just in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's continue.
As always, thanks for watching.
Oh, that was Dave.
Hey, we're done.
Oh my god. Okay.
There is a god.
There is a god.
So, to be fair,
yes.
To be fair,
yeah.
To be fair,
yes. To be fair.
To be fair. The video was not as bad as I think we're taking it, because one, we're coming from a video that is fucking excellent.
That is true.
Yes, we were spoiled. And he went into detail about almost everything, whereas this seems like it is more or less just a pitch.
Yeah.
You know, like, does this sound good to you? So go ahead and pick it up. You know,
is the other
as
thing.
Opposed to this and this and this and this and this. So,
I would argue that the first video was more of an overview.
Yes.
The first video was more of an overview, but it felt much more in depth.
Yes.
Because of the fact that he would actually explain certain things that would actually get you interested. The things that were explained in this probably would get some people interested. Absolutely. The setting itself is really it, but he didn't go into too much depth with it, which is fine. Like, again, I understand a little bit more of what happened in this setting, and I understand where we're at now and what's going on.
You know what's truly ironic?
What?
The first video was a pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
But it didn't feel like a pitch.
Right, exactly. And this feels like a pitch, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a review and mechanics, apparently. And honestly, all I know from his review is that this guy likes it.
Yeah, it seems like the first one was telling RPG players what to expect.
Right.
And in this one, it is like, hey, do you want to play this RPG? It's more like, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how it feels like to me.
Mm-hmm.
So far, what I know, I shall summarize.
Okay.
There's a lot of lore.
Yep.
There is one god of chaos.
Yeah, that was true. That's what was said.
Sigmar
there was one god of chaos in the Age of Myth, but anyway.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Sigmar made his Sigmarines.
Yep.
you can bond your souls together as a party and thus avoid creating the story of how you met.
Yep. Yeah, not necessarily a positive.
Whereas you have a fucking table for how you roll that in fantasy.
You can use a table for that.
The villain is Nagash.
He did a bad thing. But that's pretty much it.
The art's good.
The art's pretty good.
The art's really good. Yep.
Yeah.
I got that too.
The setting is really in depth.
Yeah, there's a lot of setting stuff.
Yeah, there's so much lore. An unhealthy amount of lore, which I will not share with you now because you should discover it for yourself and read the amazing lore.
Yeah, and also go buy Games Workshop's battle tomes for the tabletop war game for this RPG. By the way, they're $40 a piece.
Yeah, if you want to know a little bit more about specific factions.
Yeah,
it might not even be in the fucking game.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Have I done a good job summarizing this 20-minute video?
Yes, you have.
Actually, I would say you missed one important thing.
Okay.
You have 3 races. That's it.
True.
Elves, dwarves, and humans.
Yep.
That's it.
But then again, is that really the fault of the summarizer, or is that?
No. I'm just saying that's something that he missed.
No, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I don't know if it's being too harsh. I really don't. If this video isn't as informative as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's definitely not.
And this is the thing. This is a longer video.
Yes.
Than the one that we covered before by about 2 minutes. And it seems like it tried to cover a lot more stuff.
It tried to cover every major system.
Right, exactly. Which, I feel like is to the detriment of it, because again, I retain very little of what was said. Yes. Very little. And it didn't, and again, this is definitely personal preference of, it didn't say anything that was super standoutish that made me go, oh, I super want to play this.
Yeah, whereas genuinely. The other one did.
Yeah, and again, that could be personal preference. Absolutely, I'll take that. That's fine. But I don't know, it just didn't give me and also the presentation made it so it's again, it felt like a big run-on sentence where I could not focus on anything specifically unless I heard it for a second and we paused, right?
Yeah. Because as soon as you learn one thing and you're trying to process it, you're instantly learning a new thing. Dude, I go to fucking college,
right?
And the teachers are slower than this.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: he has to go fast, otherwise the video would be too long.
Right? I don't know. I feel like this could have either been shortened up a bit with less things, or maybe split into multiple parts, or something. Just anything to make it so that this was more interesting and something that I could actually digest and go, I do want to learn more about this system. Because now, I don't care.
Hey guys.
Yes.
I took all day and I baked a really, really delicious cake I iced it and I put it in a bowl with ice cream of your choice. So now let me take that and shove it into your stomach directly. Because fuck you. No tasting. Just eat it.
So yeah, that was that, and that will be all the videos for tonight, everyone. Yes. But I think we've learned a lot.
Yes, at least about fantasy.
Yeah,
not about
Age of Sigmar. Fantasy.
Which is okay because that's the one I wanted to play to begin with.
Absolutely, yeah, that was the one that I actually cared about.
Yes.
In summary, you want lore? You can find out from one video. From the other video, fuck you. Play it yourself and spend money on Game Workshop products.
They're so good.
Just be sure you buy it on eBay because they're being shitters lately.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Steely says, in the first one, I actually got sucked into the story of Gunnar, the dwarf, even as slim as it was, and it just made me want to get right in and start playing.
I know, right?
Yeah, I was paying attention to that.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
Absolutely.
Slayers are so fucking cool.
God, they're so fucking cool.
Though I thought they took the oath willingly.
Yes. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
It is always due to some. It is always due to some failing on their part.
Yes.
That they take the oath in order to regain their honor.
And I guess you could view it as it being forced upon them in a way because it's part of their culture, but like I wouldn't use.
But they live in a society, man.
Yeah, they do live in a society, and they do it willingly.
I've just always interpreted it as more, so everyone will, interpreted it as less, everyone will stop talking to you, and more like, every dwarf takes it willingly because they know if they don't, everyone around them will go, "What the fuck, you bitch?"
Yes, absolutely.
It also is that too.
Correct. You are absolutely correct. And yeah, Steely says the second one didn't really have anything like that, and you're right. Absolutely. Yes. Maybe we'll find a better AOS video in the future, maybe that would give us more. But yeah, I have to go live in a society. I'll catch you guys later. I had a blast. Okay. See you, Steely. But
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's gonna do it for us for tonight. Thank you to everybody for coming in, hanging out, watching. All that shit. Hey, if you're new and we're at the end here, hey, you should subscribe and get us to that 1,000 goal that we're hoping to get to at some point, so that we can use those community posts. So we can say, hey, stuff's happening.
A community post, and maybe we'll get more subscribers by doing the community posts because
people actually see those when they don't want to for channels they've never seen. Yeah. But yeah, so help us out, get us to that 100% people who watch or subscribed, because it's cool. And of course, thank you to our patrons, as I pull them up again, right here. Thank you to Draco Kraken, Mog Zero, Slazer, Steely, Drake Cross, Chris, Frozen Spaghetti, Kill, Chrono, and Polyhedral. Thank you so much. Appreciate ya. And appreciate all of you out in the chat and watching this right now. So, yeah, that'll do it.
I think that's it.
We'll see you next week for whatever we do. Bye.
Goodbye.
Oh, there he goes. Okay, he took us in.
I'm your second host. Goodbye.
Oh no.